They turn failure into progress and treat panic with patience. For one driver, hope is trumped by belief. A fearless pursuit of a destiny ride.
The drive for 5 is back alive.
On this team, victories are hard fought, and hope is something they take.
Mission accomplished. Nice work. Maximum points today, buddy.
For others, consistency is king, and the hope is to stay on top. But if lost, the race is over.
There's a problem for Matt Kenseth.
Ridiculously loose getting in.
And maybe the chase.
High at the wall pretty hard.
A bad week has gone worse.
To stop a dynasty demands an act of defiance. Because without it, there is no hope.
Let's fight to the end, baby. Let's do it.
So many stories, so many things still to play out as NASCAR's chase for the Sprint Cup moves to Kansas City, Kansas for the third of 10 races to determine this year's champion. In its brief 10-year history, this Kansas Speedway has proven to be fast, at times treacherous, and certainly has a flair for frantic finishes. We'll see how frantic this run to the checkers is, and whether this day brings back some into contention or thins the herd of those who hope to capture the Cup. What a scene. Sunny skies, fans rocking to 38 special. The track season ticket holders sit down enjoying the pre-race concert. Big energy in the air, not to mention a little touch of fall on this first Sunday in October. We begin with the four-time defending champion Jimmie Johnson, whose mistake caused 25th place finish in New Hampshire. Led some to wonder if Superman was vulnerable in his drive for 5. Well, last Sunday at Dover, Johnson and company answered those questions, leading nearly half the race and scoring their 6th win of the season, vaulting to 2nd in the standings in the process. With all due respect to Reggie Jackson, how about Double J as Mr. October? He sure gets it done when it counts the most. Of his 53 career wins, nearly half have come in the final stretch of the season, 10 of them in October. A subpar qualifying run Friday leaves Jimmy with some work to do today. He starts 21st, Jamie Little.
Well, Alan, after that win last week, he jumped up 4 positions in the points. He now sits 2nd. So after that win, Jimmy, what kind of message do you think that sent to the rest of your competition?
I'm not really concerned about a message. You know, we knew that was a good track for us, and we had to go in there and really have a good day. The win was obviously the best day that we could have, but you know, we just needed to step up as a team and get the job done, and we did, and I'm very proud of that. So this weekend, we got to do the same thing. I mean, we're right back in the middle of this, and we just need to do what this 48 team is known for and be smart, make sure to work on the car all day long, and have something to race with at the end.
Now, yesterday in practice, we saw some issues coming off turn 4 with multiple drivers spinning out, including yourself. What was the challenge there as you moved around the track?
Yeah, I mean, I was trying yesterday to create situations I would see in the race. Maybe not the end result in the spin, but the line that I was running. And the car was on the free side, and I got in a little hot and had to open the steering wheel up to not spin out. And as I did that, I got onto one of those wide paving strips that we've all talked so much about, and it just turned the car around, and around I went. So just kind of and since I didn't hit anything, it was a fun way to end the day. I had a cool slide, and guys were laughing about it. There's grass everywhere, but you know, we're serious today, and hopefully we got our spin out of the way, and we'll have a good solid performance with the Lowe's car today.
That car was dirty, a lot of grass inside, but they've got it cleaned up. They'll roll off 21st today. Alan?
I'm glad he can laugh about spinning sideways at 150 miles an hour. Not sure I'd be the same way. Well, while Jimmy is mid-pack for the start, the front row is occupied by 2 drivers not in the chase. Paul Menard has his best starting spot of the season, qualifying 2nd in this field. Casey Kane will lead the field to the green. Jeff Gordon, a 2-time Kansas winner, is the highest qualified chaser. Joey Logano still on his little recent hot streak. Biffle Kenseth, Kurt Busch, the other chasers among the top 10 starters. Let's talk to our pulse hitter today. Casey Kane is with Dr. Jerry Punch.
Alan, Casey Kane historically been very good on mile-and-a-half racetracks. Casey led the most laps at Atlanta back in the spring. Now, Casey, what's the key for you to turn all those laps led into a win here today?
Well, I think starting with a good car. You know, I think being able to work on these cars, they have to be close and to make the gains throughout the race. So hopefully we'll have a decent balance from yesterday's practice, and we have a great starting spot. Our whole Budweiser Ford team's done a nice job this weekend, and we're first. So we'll see if we can hold that. We have a pretty good shot, I think.
Now, we're in Kansas, so you expect some gusting winds, but over the weekend, some unseasonably cool temperatures have created some grip issues, and some of the veteran drivers, like Jimmy Johnson, we just talked to a moment ago, have spun. What impact could those elements have on this race today?
I don't think it'll be as bad today. I think, the wind had a lot to do with that yesterday. The car's moving around a lot more, especially in 3 and 4, and that's where most of the issues were. And, I think the weather will be nice today. It's a little bit cool, but it's sunny out, so I think it'll create a great race. And, the wind's not near as bad. So I think it should be fine. It's going to be pretty exciting. I'm looking forward to it. Kansas is a really good track.
Hey, good luck to you.
Thank you.
Casey Kane will lead him down from the pole, AB.
The Coors Light Pole Award winner for today's race in Kansas. Thank you, Doc. We saw the top 10 starters earlier. Here is where the chase drivers are starting, anywhere from 3rd for Jeff Gordon to 31st for Carl Edwards. Lots in the middle of the field. An early incident in the pack today could be big. It's always big inside our ESPN pit studio. Brad's here. How can it not be? Alan Bestwick with former champ Rusty Wallace and NASCAR team owner Brad Daugherty. When you think of Kansas, what comes to mind?
This particular racetrack and this week, I'm thinking fast. And talk about a great atmosphere also. I mean, all the fans are out here. I mean, they're all jacked. Everybody's pumped up. It's cool temperatures. It's an electric atmosphere. Take a look at that. In fact, this morning, I opened up the paper, and there was 5 pages covering racing here in the city. It's electric, man. They're pumped up here.
You're absolutely right. I mean, look at this place. It's a festive environment. It's so much fun. Everyone is so interested in what's going on with NASCAR this weekend. It's a great place to be. I think about this racetrack, though. I think about the speeds and how flat it is, how hard it is to get off these corners and maintain momentum. We're going to see a great race today where you have to be good those last 50 laps.
Let's talk about Jimmy Johnson. We just heard from him what his win at Dover did for he and his team, and what it did to his competitors for the title.
Oh, man, that's a great question. And what it did was, it built so much momentum for that team. It's amazing. Those guys think they think they're back on track, which they probably are now. They think they can win every race. But those competitors, they're scared to death. Yeah. They really are. They're flipped out like, oh, man, I thought this guy was out of it. And now he's back, and he's in great position to win his 5th championship. So, Jimmy Johnson's good. Everybody else is freaked out.
Yeah, all it did was it validated what Jimmy Johnson, Chad Knaus, and this whole Rick Hendrick organization knows about themselves. They are the best in the business. But what it did to his competitors, those other 11 guys, it tightened the screws on that pressure cooker, which is, how do we take advantage of the 48 who's having a quote-unquote off season? It's put a lot of pressure on his opponents at this point.
I hear the music from Jaws in the background. Jimmy starting back in 21st, always a danger of getting caught in that early incident. But I don't expect the 48 to be back there for long today. Coming up, an interesting note to this chase. More mistakes than normal among chase drivers. Speeding penalties, pit road problems, and the like. We'll talk about it and what may be the cause. Plus, Denny Hamlin, from his Cup debut 5 years ago this race to leading the championship now. We'll shoot the bull and some hoops as NASCAR Countdown continues from the home of the
here we go again. The fighting chickens. You cannot have a mascot that is a chicken.
Jimmy Johnson saying he's got a huge chatter in the side of the car.
But if it's not feeling right, just bring it in.
31 didn't give him much room there. Jimmy Johnson may have some fender damage.
We're hearing the 2 car was too fast on pit road, so he's going to get a penalty.
Oh, my God. It's got to be about halfway anyway. It's usually when we fall apart.
Jeff Gordon in for what should be his final stop of the day.
The right front power changer lost a lug nut. Just a killer under green.
And Tony Stewart's out of fuel.
Just ran out.
It's Clint Boyer's race now.
Yeah, they rolled the dice and lost there. I mean, that's just a chance you take. This is one of the most difficult entrances to pit road. Oh, yeah, he's way fast right there.
There's a problem for Matt Kenseth. He missed the entrance to pit road, and I believe he's lost the left front tire.
Especially when you get in the chase, you don't want this to happen anytime.
A bad week has gone worse. A lot of damage to that 33.
I know pretty hard.
Here's Clint Boyer on pit road. This is a speeding penalty for Boyer. Well, the first 2 races of this year's chase have seen their share of mistakes by those contending for the championship, from dropped lug nuts on pit stops to some over-aggressiveness resulting in spins to pit road speeding penalties. Just by way of comparison, in all of last year's chase, there were only 9 pit road penalties incurred by chase drivers. Last Sunday alone at Dover, there were 4 pit road penalties to chasers, not including some of the other slips and slip-ups. Tony Stewart got one of those penalties last Sunday. Combine that with running out of fuel leading in New Hampshire, and Stewart's got a 162-point hole to dig out of in this championship, and he needs to get on a roll fast. Well, good thing we're at Kansas. Stewart, one of just 2 drivers with multiple wins at this track. A year ago, his team used a 2-tire stop mid-race to gain track position, and from there, he fought off challenges from both Greg Biffle and Jeff Gordon for the win. Car 14 starts 14th today, Dave Burns.
Of course, Tony Stewart's broad shoulders have built this race team and then carried them a little bit in the last couple of weeks when there have been mistakes to talk about, Tony. Put those in perspective. Anything unusual or just bad timing, and are they chase killers?
Just bad luck. I mean, we had a great race car at Loudon, and I ran us out of fuel running too hard at the end, and we just missed last week. So we missed it. I got a pit road speeding penalty that really got us behind, and we couldn't recover from it. So just 2 bad weeks, and all we can do is shake it off, and we got 8 more chances to get everything we can get. So we figure we don't have anywhere to go but up, and the guys have been really positive. They've been more positive than I have, and those guys have kind of got me out of the slump I've been in this week. So I'm really proud of Darian and everybody on the team, and we'll get this Old Spice Office Depot Chevy up front again.
Speaking of their hard work, there's been a little buzz in the garage about how good you guys are. Can you make it a 3rd win here at Kansas today?
I hope so. I feel like our car is decent. It's got good speed, and I feel like it's a car that should be good on a long run. So I'm excited to get this thing started.
All right, in case there was any question, Alan, on whether or not he's been a winner here, the Procter & Gamble folks stopped by this morning to get some things signed. Here is last year's Victory Lane photo.
Very nice, David. Thank you much, and thank you to Tony. Let's look at the standings. Entering today's 3rd chase race, the top 8 drivers, all reasonably close. 83 points over 8 races is not a lot. But from 9th place, Greg Biffle on down, it begins to get a bit more serious. How much is too much to make up against this competition in the remaining races? So, in other words, Rusty and Brad, who's out of it?
Well, nobody's out yet. I'm giving everybody the benefit of the doubt right now. There's no doubt about that. Although, after this race, when this race is over, if those guys are still 9th through 12th and 140 or points behind or something, they're done. In my opinion, Brad, there's no way they can catch up. This chase is too competitive, and they're too far behind.
See, I think Clint Boyer and that RCR team in particular is done. I think they've been dealt a serious blow that they can't overcome, not only from the mechanical side, but from the emotional side. They win the race. They have that taken from them, whatever. So I think they're done. The interesting guy to me is Matt Kenseth, who I spent Tuesday with talking with Matt about his chances. He was not overly confident about getting into the chase, first of all. And now he feels like his car's okay. He told me, though, we've got to qualify better. If we qualify better, maybe we can put the pieces together, step A to step B, and have a good day. Well, he's qualified 8th here, which has been something that they have struggled with this year. Maybe he can put the pieces together, but they have to do it today in order to have a success in the chase.
What about if Clint Boyer wins the appeal? He gets his 150 points back.
That's a whole mess. That's a mess is what that is.
All right, we'll come back to Boyer in the appeal in just a second. The penalties, the mistakes, the drop lug nuts, the pit road speeding, and so on. Again, the numbers. Only 9 pit road penalties handed out in the entire chase last year to chase drivers. 4 last Sunday alone. Why are we seeing so many penalties?
Well, Alan, in my opinion, in order to win this championship, you just can't leave anything on the table. These guys are taking everything to the limits. I'm talking pit road speeding. I'm talking about rules infractions. I'm talking about everything to get back on track. And it's just plain and simple. People are making mistakes, and in my opinion, they got to stay more focused. They're too much up on the wire. They're all wired up, and it's got to slow down to go faster.
Yeah, I think we are seeing the closest chase we've ever seen, obviously. The 48 team has not been that dominant team rolling into the chase that they have been in the past. So I think a lot of teams are saying, hey, this is our opportunity to do our best. We can't leave anything on the table. We have to be aggressive at every opportunity and take advantage. And I also do believe that the spoiler has played a big part in this. Still trying to figure out how it affects the race car throughout these races and changes is still something teams are working on.
I never thought about that. That's a good point right there.
Exactly right. You mentioned slow down to go faster. faster. That's an interesting phrase that drivers, it's the hardest thing in the world for a driver to do. Back to the Clint Boyer story for just a minute. The National Stock Car Racing Appeals Panel Wednesday upheld the penalty NASCAR levied on Richard Childress Racing and Clint Boyer after their New Hampshire win. Commission members John Caples, Lynn St. James, and Waddell Wilson essentially didn't buy the argument of Childress's team and their expert witness from the accident reconstruction field that a wrecker caused the car to be out of specs. Childress and his expert, Dr. Charles Manning, had this reaction.
Okay, here he comes. We have shown proof that the wrecker knocked the back of the car up, and we will appeal it, and we will take it to the next level. And I'm very disappointed. Nothing unexpected the way this thing works.
What we brought was positive proof that that damage occurred from afterwards by the wrecker tow truck pushing the car. I gave them reports, scientific reports, and we go to court and testify all the time, and they paid no attention.
Now, the chief appellate officer is a former General Motors executive, John Middlebrook. He will hold that hearing on Tuesday, Childress and Company, with one final shot to try and get their penalty reduced. Clint Boyer starts 27th today at his home track, Vince.
Well, and Clint's been kind of getting away from the stress of it all with some enjoyable time here in his home state of Kansas this week. Clint, you made the comment this weekend that you think you're out of the chase. Of course, big decision yet to be made on Tuesday, but if indeed that is the case, what is your goal over the course of the last 8 weeks for this team?
Well, we certainly still have goals. I mean, we need to wait the outcome of next week. Still have faith in the system. But, you know, if not, you know, me bringing that championship, you know, home to RCR, we still got 2 more shots at it, and that's very important to stay focused on. You know, that's the unfortunate thing about all this mess is, you know, it's taken, you know, attention off where it needs to be, you know, put down. And, you know, everybody put a lot of work into that appeal and time and energy, and unfortunately it didn't go right the first time. So hopefully it will the second time. But, you know, from there, winning races like right here in my hometown in Kansas City, and you know, we got a lot of good racetracks for us. But from there, just to be the best teammate we can be, and hopefully, you know, Jeff or Kevin can bring that championship home if I can't.
Yeah, Clint's been a great pro through it all. Well, what a great victory it would be if he could pull it off here today at his home state. Alan?
I told you he's out of it. Even he says he's out of it. What are we going to do, Jedi mind, trick him into thinking he's in it, Rusty? He says he's out.
He's not out of it yet.
He's out.
No,
all right.
He's wrong.
All right.
He's still in it.
When you think of Kansas, you think of Clint, right?
If he wins the appeal.
What other kinds of word association can we have fun with here?
NASCAR's hero.
I think Richard Petty.
Richard Petty.
First thing that comes to my mind is Dale Earnhardt.
Dale Earnhardt.
Dale Earnhardt.
Yeah, Earnhardt. I think of Bill France.
Green, white, checkered.
Chaos. Insane.
Can be good. I'm okay with 2. I love the green, white, checkered.
It's awesome.
Intense. Perfect way to end a race.
The spoiler. Return to tradition.
Old school race cars. I love it. I love that it's back. Spoiler is my nemesis right now. Jimmy Johnson is very, very good.
4-time.
The man right now. Superman. You know, a lot of people don't want to see him win anymore.
Should be getting tired of winning. I think we can take him.
Chad what? I don't know Chad too well, so.
Superman's crew chief.
Too cool. Pain in the butt.
Smart. Pretty smart guy.
He's too smart.
Pain in the ass. NASCAR's villain. Kyle Busch.
Probably Kyle Busch, I'd say.
Probably Kyle.
It's probably my little brother. Brad Keselowski.
Me? NASCAR's underdog.
Me. Hate to vote myself. I didn't want to get that cheesy and say myself.
Marcus Ambrose.
Joe Nemechek.
David Rudiman.
David Rudiman, for sure.
Greg Biffle.
The underdog's like a guy that's not supposed to win that wins.
That could be all of us at some point. The chase. That's not even funny.
This is your opportunity to win a championship.
Wild. Stressful.
It's going to be a heck of a battle.
I can't wait. 2010 Sprint Cup champion.
Better be me. The Biff.
Breakfast with the Biff. Me. This guy.
I don't know.
Ooh. Jimmy Johnson. I hope it's me.
Won't be Jimmy Johnson. I feel like we've got the best shot that we've had in a long time. I think this team is back.
Could be anybody.
Monday Night Football continues with a battle between AFC East rivals as Tom Brady, Randy Moss, and the Patriots roll into Miami to face Brandon Marshall and the Dolphins. It's Patriots-Dolphins on ESPN's Monday Night Football at 8:30 Eastern. Coverage begins at 7 Eastern with Monday Night Countdown served by Applebee's. Bye week for the Chiefs this week, racing the main attraction in Kansas City on this Sunday. Race 3 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup takes the green shortly here at the Kansas Speedway. A race car is carefully built to combine speed and safety, with the goal being victory on the track. But there are some race cars being built today with a different goal in mind, to help kids cope more comfortably with difficult situations. Here's Chris Conley.
Mark Smith, known as Smitty, spent some 25 years in garages like this one, working to make race cars go a little bit faster than the competition.
Feels good to make a car fast and you win on Sunday, or you're knocking on the door of a win.
After retiring in 2006, Smitty created a new kind of car, the Dream Racer. Same materials, same paint jobs, but for a different driver. Hospitalized kids.
Push it hard. This is a pretty hard, serious time in their life. It cheers them up. It makes them happy.
Along with their fresh from the track construction, Dream Racers have a Sony PlayStation built in, so kids can pretend they're actually racing.
They think they're in a real race car, especially when they strap on that G-force safety harness and then that race seat. They got a smile. They like it.
Lauren Turner is a 6-year-old in need of smiles. She was diagnosed with leukemia in April. And what's leukemia?
It's something that your blood gets all yucky, and it makes your blood get a little sick.
And is it serious?
Yeah.
Your world falls apart. You just can't imagine. She, what was healthy one day is so far from healthy, and you know it. And you think the worst.
Even as doctors said Lauren would need a bone marrow transplant to survive, she charmed her caregivers at Charlotte's Levine Children's Hospital with her plucky smile. Her parents say her time in Smitty's Dream Racer has helped Lauren cope with her grueling treatments.
You see the joy in her. You see that little spark in her eye just glimmering when she's in there. Now she tells me how to drive.
There's like a little gas pump. You push it. There's another one to stop it. And there's like a steering wheel. You steer it.
I think she just likes that, the car imitates, the drivers that you see on TV.
I think she thinks she's driving. I really do. I think she thinks that it's her car.
Back in August, owner Rick Hendrick, who is a leukemia survivor himself, visited Levine Children's Hospital to commemorate a fleet of Dream Racers he donated, with Jimmy Johnson in attendance to unveil a replica of his '48 car and to meet his newest fan.
He let me get in his real car. His real car was in the hospital building.
What's that feel like?
That feels like that I want to do backflips.
I'm not sure your legs will reach the pedals yet, but when you get a little older, we can maybe get you to drive one.
Whenever we watch NASCAR, she's pulling for Jimmy. She knows the number. She knows what the car looks like. And she's going, go, Jimmy Johnson.
She said the other night, she said, you think I could be a race car driver?
Nowadays, even Lauren's sister Haley gets to play with the Dream Racer. And that's as it should be, because Haley is Lauren's bone marrow donor.
I'm her donor, and because I'm 100% match, and that's very rare, so we're very blessed.
So how does that make you feel that you're going to help make your sister feel better?
It helps me know that I can do something for her and know that she owes me big time.
What's the best thing about Haley?
She's my hero.
16 Dream Racers can now be found in pediatric cancer wards across the South, purchased for $9,500 each, and donated by everyone from driver David Rudiman to the rock band Three Doors Down. Smitty's vision, helping to sustain the big dreams of kids like Lauren.
If we can give them a little bit of joy while they're having to go through this, why, I think that's what we need to do.
That those dream racers can help brighten the day of kids dealing with difficult diseases is a wonderful thing. That some drivers, race teams, and their sponsors are using their uniforms and cars today to bring attention to the cause of fighting cancer is a great thing as well. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. The Stanley-sponsored 19 car for Elliott Sadler is pink today to bring awareness to the cause of fighting breast cancer, as is the Napa-sponsored 56 car for Martin Truex Jr. We wish both drivers and all the people they're racing for a great day today. Up next, one of the top finishers from last Sunday's Dover race. A driver kind of flying under the radar in this chase for the championship that our analysts think you should really keep an eye on. We'll hear why and talk to Jeff Burton as the countdown continues from Kansas as we get ready for Chase 3 in the race for the Sprint Cup. The Monster Mile, ominous and foreboding as we get set to begin the second race in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup.
Doing it on 3. 1, 2, 3. Fellas, go have a good day today.
The second race of the 2010 chase is green.
3, 2, 1. Wheel straight on the brake. Too fast entering Kurt. What the am I supposed to do? Just pull in the back or what? Yes. It's got to be about halfway anyway. It's usually when we fall apart.
There's a problem for Matt Kenseth. He missed the entrance to pit road, and I believe he's lost the left front tire.
Right side. I knocked it out. It's different. I'll figure it out.
The battle is on for first. You're on board with Kyle Busch. Right behind him is Jimmy Johnson. He has been closing quickly.
Here comes Johnson to the inside. New leader, Jimmy Johnson.
New leader, 48. Attaboy. Go get him, man. Doing a great job.
The drive for 5 is back alive. Jimmy Johnson's going to win chase race number 2.
Jeff Burton finishing second, gaining a couple of spots in the chase.
Nice work, brother. Nice work. Maximum points today, buddy. Both laps led. Win the race. Good job.
Well, Jimmy Johnson did win the race in Dover last Sunday. We talked with and about Jimmy earlier. The second place finisher in that race, that man Jeff Burton, has gotten the attention of our analysts, and with good reason. Burton started the chase as the 10 seed, 60 points off the lead. At New Hampshire, he was running 5th before having to stop for fuel at the white flag. He still finished 15th. The Dover runner-up effort has put the 43-year-old Virginian 7th in the standings, 80 points behind leader Denny Hamlin. Particularly high on Burton as a title threat is our Dale Jarrett, who joins us now up in the booth along with Andy Petrie, getting ready to call the race. DJ, why you on the Burton bandwagon?
Well, if there are a lot of reasons, and I could take up the rest of the show, but to be quite brief about it, Jeff Burton's just like that blue-collar worker. He loves to go to the race shop, give his opinion and his ideas about what they need to do as a race team to try to work this thing out, get themselves back in it. And he does that on a regular basis. He's a big reason that RCR has 3 cars in the championship. And I just see Jeff Burton having an outstanding chase season here. Andy and I thought about race 15, that he might be one of the top contenders and somebody that we would consider as a favorite. They had a few hiccups along the way. I think they've got things back going now. An important day for him and his race teams to have a good, solid day here. But look for him to be there whenever we get to Homestead.
All right, Andy, whose bandwagon are you on?
Well, I don't know if I'm on anybody's bandwagon, but I do agree with Dale about Burton. But somebody else I think deserves some attention here is Kyle Busch. I mean, he won 8 races in 08 and kind of fell apart in the chase. He didn't make it last year, but he's such a talented guy that, you know, sooner or later, everybody thinks that he's going to be a champion. This might be the year. I talked to Dave Rogers in the garage area. He said if they can get their mile-and-a-half program just a little bit better, they're better on short tracks this year, but if they can improve their mile-and-a-half program, and today he said was a big test. If they come out of here today with a good finish, a top 5, maybe a win, then they feel like they are going to be a title contender for sure.
All right, Andy, DJ, thanks. We'll keep an eye on both Burton and Busch today. Let's hear from Jeff Burton now. He starts 23rd, Doc.
And we're climbing out of a Humvee here, driver intros. Let's talk to you for a second, Jeff, here. A lot of teams in the chase talking about the big picture in the championship. Your team has a very narrow focus, not just race to race, but almost pit stop to pit stop. Why?
Well, I just think that if we focus on right now, then the future will take care of itself. And I just believe that it's easy to talk about the big picture. It's easy to say we want to get the most points, but the way you do that is by focusing on what you're doing right now. So every lap, every corner, every pit stop, every decision we make has a huge bearing on what the overall outcome is. So we're not thinking about Homestead right now. We're thinking about this race, and when this race is over, we'll think about the next one.
Hey, good luck today.
Thank you,
Alan.
All right, Jeff Burton getting ready to go as driver introductions continue from the Kansas Speedway. More of NASCAR Countdown coming up as we get ready for race 3 in the chase. Getting ready to go for race 3 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup on a beautiful Sunday in Kansas City, Kansas. Welcome back to NASCAR Countdown. Apologize to some of you who have been experiencing audio problems in some parts around the country on some of the ESPN 2 feeds. Understand our hard-working pit crews got it all fixed up now, and we apologize for the difficulties. It was 5 years ago in this race that Denny Hamlin made his NASCAR Sprint Cup Series debut. That was his first race. Today, he's in first place in the championship. Now, Kansas being such a basketball-crazy state and Denny being such a big basketball fan, who else could we send out to get his thoughts but Big Brad? And where else but to a basketball shrine?
They need more pitchers than me in here. I'm a little disappointed. Talking about your preparation, you hurt your knee pretty significantly early this year. I was one of the guys, like a lot of guys, who's critical of you getting back into that race car so soon. Did that enhance the pressure?
Really honestly, I probably gave up on my season is the reason I decided to go ahead and do it, is because we were 20th or so in points at the time. We were struggling. So I was like, you know what? We might not even make the chase anyway, so I hate to put this off. And then we have a throwaway season anyway. Why don't we just go ahead and do it mid-season, get it over with, and hey, if for some reason we go on a strong run in the summer, I'm going to be 100% healed by the time chase starts. So I went ahead and decided to do it, and it was just I underestimated the focus that whenever you have an injury, how much it makes you focus on the other parts of your job.
Yes, sir.
So, I think it's just, you see it all the time in other sports.
Yes, you do.
This person's injured, just had the game of their life. In the garage, everyone's known it for months. It's not 2 weeks old. This is something that's been going on for months.
There's a little rumor in the garage that the RCR boys are going to get you before this year's over. You think that's over with?
I think it is. Yeah. Sunday after the race, and I'm sitting there laying in bed, and I'm like, God dang it, I can't sleep. So I just sent a text to him and said, hey, I'd like to talk to you, this, that, and the other. It was important for me to get the air cleared with Kevin because, obviously we don't want any bad feelings. And second of all is he's not going to win a championship worried about me.
That's all right.
Or any of those guys.
Sure.
And I'm not going to win a championship worried about him.
Yeah.
So, if we're chasing each other around a racetrack, trying to take each other out, we're losing focus of what we've been working on for the last 28 weeks.
Denny's had probably one of the best race cars he's had in a long time here at Dover.
Had a solid day. He hasn't done anything stellar, just what he needed to do.
All right, so you get out of Dover last week. You wanted to finish 7th. 8th, and you finished 9th, right?
And it's so funny, the end of that race, it was about 30 laps to go. Ryan Newman was chasing me down, and I was like, man, I'm 8th. God, I don't want to give up that one spot. You know what I mean? It's like, at the beginning of the day, it's like, will you take a top 10? Yeah, no matter what, I'll take 10. I think everyone knows that we've had, over the last 3 or 4 years, a lot of mechanical issues. It's just been kind of the characteristics of our team. It's like, I relate it similar to how people, I think, viewed me as a driver for a while, that potential, but no results.
Yeah.
So I think that could be said for our race team over the last 2 or 3 years. Now, the team's starting to get the results that we deserve, and I feel like I'm starting to, figure out how to close races, win races, and whatnot. So it's just, both of us have potential. It's just putting it all together.
5 years for Denny Hamlin in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series from this race. 179 starts in that time, and of those 14 wins, 6 have come this season. He is looking for number 7 today from the 12th starting spot. Denny Hamlin shooting hoops with Brad. What were you thinking?
I didn't know what to think. I was really hoping my man Brad was going to make some more baskets than he made, but I was thinking a lot about that.
Did he? No, he didn't lose his mind and try to dunk on me or anything. But it was great talking to Denny because it really gave me some insight as to how he thinks. He's really methodically going about putting together this championship race by race, piece by piece from his past experiences. And he is a viable threat. I like the way they put their program together, he and his crew chief, Mike Ford.
Couple things, Rusty. Getting through Dover with that top 10 finish, how big a thing for Denny and his team?
That was really big for him because, hey, before the show started, all of us right here in the studio and up in the booth, man, we said this guy's not going to get it done. It's a terrible track for him. He's going to run bad. Forget it. I mean, we basically had him out of this thing.
Yeah.
But he had a great run. He finished 9th. He proved us all wrong. He looked really good. I think it was a great morale booster for Denny, for the team, and for everybody. And you know what? Right here at Kansas today, this is his style of racetrack. I think he can keep this momentum going.
Now, the other side of Dover, the press room comments, the thing with Kevin Harvick during practice and so on. What did he say about that?
Well, I think he learned a lot, and he got some guidance, from Coach Gibbs on how to stay out of those situations. But he talked about, he's grown so much as a young man, as a race car driver. He's matured a lot over the past several seasons, and he realized that he went a little too far by making those comments, and he wished he could have taken them back because he did not want to get into this big distraction of he versus Kevin Harvick or RCR versus. He doesn't want any of that, but he says sometimes he opens his mouth before he really, it computerizes through his brain, and he can't take those things back. But I think he is beyond it. I think the RCR guys are beyond it. They just want to go race and try to win a championship.
Talking about the mouth, I can tell you one thing. Every time I opened my mouth when I was racing, I got beat.
Yeah.
Now, of interesting note, Denny kind of handicapped himself to Brad in each of the upcoming races where he thought he'd finish and so on. I thought the numbers were kind of interesting.
Oh, I did too. I just asked him, I said, why wouldn't you just go out and try to maximize your points position and win each one of these events that you're capable of winning because there's got some great racetracks coming up? He said, no, I've learned over the past 4 years that I have to take advantage of a good race car and not try to make it a great one. So when I go to Kansas, I want to finish about 5th. I think that's where I'm going to be. As you get towards Martinsville, I'm going to win that race, so it all adds up to a championship if it plays out like he's thought.
I tell you what, I agree with those numbers too. I mean, those numbers that Denny gave himself at those tracks, those are really realistic. Absolutely. Yep. I can tell you one thing. I started my career in 1984, and 5 years later, I won my championship. So this cat right here is right on track.
Think he's on? You think he's due? Well, that's Denny Hamlin getting ready to go. Now, Denny's teammate Kyle Busch is kind of facing today the thing Denny Hamlin was last week at Dover, trying to get a result at a track that's frustrated him in the past. Kyle, with only one top 10 finish at Kansas and 6 tries, and getting through this one today would be huge for his title hopes. He starts 19th, Dave.
And well, that'll be what we'll ask him about, Kyle. Starting 19th today, what were the issues in qualifying, and then how good is the car in race trim?
We missed it a little bit earlier in the weekend, and unfortunately we didn't figure it out until just yesterday. But start 19th, not that big a deal. I feel like we've got a good enough car that if we're patient enough, we can work our way up to the front and be in contention for hopefully a top 5 and if not a top 10 today at least, in order to get out of here with something better than what I've run here in the past. So the M&M's Camry's decent, and I know Dave and the guys will have a good pit road for me today, and we'll just kind of keep working at it.
And that top 10 or better would be good for his chase hopes, Alan.
Kyle Busch getting ready to go, Dave. Thank you very much. Now, Kyle's brother, Kurt, is the focus of our next story because this is the first of 4 mile-and-a-half track races in the final 8. And when you look at the first 6 mile-and-a-half track races this year, this guy has gained the most points of any of the Chase drivers. Kurt Busch, 2 wins, and again, more points than anybody else of the Chasers in this year's mile-and-a-half track races so far. Matt Kenseth has earned the 2nd most points. Jimmy Johnson, Tony Stewart, Denny Hamlin, they've all got mile-and-a-half wins in addition to Kurt's 2. Hamlin, meanwhile, has scored the 11th most points on mile-and-a-halves among the Chasers this year. Stew on those numbers for a minute while we talk to Kurt Busch. He starts 9th, Jamie.
That's right. He certainly has an impressive resume on mile-and-a-half tracks. But you say this track at Kansas has unique personality traits. How so?
Well, it's just a different mile-and-a-half. It reminds me of the old Vegas track on how it's just flatter. Not a lot of banking here.
Usually it's a little warmer out, so the cooler conditions will help us. We seem to run better cooler conditions with our Miller Lite Dodge, and it's just the third chase race. We got to play it cool, play it smart, and just try to eliminate mistakes, which is being smooth on pit road all day.
All right, Kurt Busch looking for his first win here at Kansas. He will start 9th. Alan?
All right, Jamie, let's talk about half the races remaining on 1.5-mile tracks. Does that give us trends from one to the other? You're not so sure.
No, I'm not really big on the numbers. All the 1.5-mile racetracks. Look, you just can't say 1.5 miles. These 1.5 miles are all different. Take a look at this. I mean, here we're at Kansas right now. That's a 15-degree banking in the corners. Take a look at Charlotte, Texas, Homestead. They're all different. So it's really hard to say, hey, this guy's good a 1.5 miles, because some of these things, in fact, all of them drive totally different.
Two guys jump out to me. Jimmie Johnson, if you look at his history over 1.5 mile racetracks, he's won 1 out of every 6 events. The other guy who's close to him is Carl Edwards, who wins 1 out of every 8. Those guys are the guys you need to watch.
We'll see if one of those two winds up holding the trophy, or if it's somebody else at the end of the day here in Kansas, like, for example, Jeff Gordon, a 2-time Kansas winner. He's next when NASCAR Countdown continues from Kansas City, Kansas. Well, we sure have seen some great finishes in the first 9 years of racing at the Kansas Speedway. Hopefully another today in the 10th race here for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. All right, let's give you a little what to watch for now. And starting with strategy, it was huge in last year's race. For example, with 29 laps to go, Greg Biffle was the leader, but took 4 tires on his pit stop, while 3 others, including Tony Stewart, went for just right sides. Stewart got the lead. Biff made a charge from 4th, but Stewart had the clean air. There's the right sides only for the 14, and Stewart got away to score the win. Tires versus track position. What are we going to see?
Oh, man, yesterday's nationwide race, we watched that race, and everybody who took 2 tires got beat pretty big time. 4 tires were definitely the way to go, and I really don't expect it to be much different today's race.
Yeah, absolutely. 4 tires will be the premium simply because grip is at a premium. We've got a cooler racetrack than we had yesterday, and they had a tough time getting hooked up. You have to have those 4 Goodyear Eagles.
And a little different tire than last year being used this weekend at Kansas. Something else to watch based on yesterday's practice. Trouble off turn number 4.
Yeah, I tell you, turn 4 was really troublesome for a lot of these people. You got to remember, this is a D-shaped racetrack, and you can really kick the throttle up big time in the center of turn 3 and 4 and carry a lot of momentum. And because of that, the car just wouldn't handle it. I mean, we had cool temperatures, and we just did not have the grip, and that was the main reason. Take a look at Jimmie Johnson here on the throttle, can't hold on to it, and that turn 4 was eating them up.
Very flat racetrack. Like Rusty said, a lot of momentum is desired to get up to speed. And what we saw yesterday, and all 4 of these guys who spun these race cars, they were on sticker tires. So that tells you you've got to get 4 or 5 laps in to get the heat in these things. Grip is at a premium today.
And Jimmie Johnson mentioned, cross one of those sealing strips that the track uses to preserve the track surface. You might find yourself spinning around the wrong way. Clean air. We saw a lot of passing in last year's race, but the guy that had the lead and got the lead on the double file restarts seemed like he was hard to get by.
Oh, whenever you got clean air, Alan, it's a premium. Just like Tim Brewer told us earlier, downforce is everything in the world. If you can get that car in front, get all that downforce in front of that splitter right there you're looking at, I mean, you can really run faster and handle better. So, you know, maybe 2 tires will get the clean air, and maybe 2 tires will work to win the race, but I just don't believe so. After what I saw yesterday, those 4 tires were everything.
So that's going to mean getting the brake on the double file restarts will be huge.
Got to get a brake on double file restart. Anytime you start back of any of these cars, I know with our race cars, we work really hard to get that nose weight down. You want as much clean air out there on that front of that race car, because once you get out front, it's easy to check out, and it's so hard to shuffle through the dirty air.
Tim Brewer told us earlier, off the air, he's going to tell everybody else now on the air about a car with clean air versus a car that's in traffic, and a crew chief dealing with both through the course of a day. To our Craftsman Tech Garage and Tim Brewer. Tim?
Thanks, Alan. It's always a challenge when you've got turbulent air in front of the car. A car out about 2 car lengths in front of this one, you don't have adequate airflow. You don't have as much downforce on the nose, nor do you have enough cooling. So it's a constant challenge to mix mechanical, spring, shock absorber, sway bar, weight distribution to make your car drive as well as possible. Because when you're in that turbulent air, you don't have a lot of downforce on the rear of the car, nor the front. But to get to the front, you're going to have better downforce on the front of the car and the rear of the car. And once you get out in that clean air, it's checkout time. Guys?
All right, Tim, thanks. A guy who's got a pretty good starting spot and is hoping for some clean air early is Jeff Gordon. He's in third on the grid, Vince.
That's right. His average starting position the last 7 races, 21st. So third today, best starting spot since Darlington. What does that do for you today, Jeff?
Well, it's been a really good weekend for the DuPont Chevrolet. We're hoping to keep that going here today, but definitely starting up front here, that's going to help us a lot. You know, we're known for being better when we qualify up front, and it's something that we've been missing the last several weeks, and we've worked hard coming into the chase to try to get that better. We finally hit on some things here on Friday, and it paid off, and the car was great yesterday. So, like I said, I hope we can keep this DuPont Chevrolet up here up front, and love this racetrack here at Kansas. Great day, and love to get some of those points that we desperately need for this championship.
He's a 2-time winner here at Kansas, Alan.
And again, Jeff starting in third on the grid, chasing the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Championship Trophy. And by the way, the trophy for winning the race today as well here at the Kansas Speedway. Check it out. Beautiful day in Kansas City, Kansas. Race 3 in the chase for the Sprint Cup begins in just a minute. Grab that remote. We're going over to ESPN for our race coverage in just a moment. First, our Bush's Beans recipe for success. Some ingredients for a successful day at Kansas Speedway. Tune it for max mileage.
Oh, man, it's going to be a lot of green flag runs today, and I really think you have to get really good fuel mileage. And 2 versus 4, what do you think, Brad?
Got to have 4 tires, no doubt about it. You got to minimize mistakes. You got to keep that track position and not lose it throughout the day.
We've seen that in a couple of these races. Don't do it today. All right, so grab the remote control. Our race coverage moving over to ESPN in just seconds. It's race 3 in the chase for the Sprint Cup. Will it be fuel mileage, pit strategy, or a thrilling run to the finish we'll be talking about after 400 miles? We've seen all of the above in the past at this track. We find out what happens on ESPN now. The first touches of fall are in the air in Kansas City, Kansas. A little frost on the pumpkin this morning when the fans began filling the parking lots of the Kansas Speedway for race 3 in the chase for the Sprint Cup. Today, it's a fast mile and a half where we've seen frantic finishes, fuel mileage decide the winner, and everything in between. After the opening 2 races in the chase, we've seen some stumbles and some strong statements. We'll see how this 400 miles plays into the story of who will be the champion. Time to go trackside for the opening ceremony.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your hats as the Washington High School Air Force Junior ROTC presents our nation's colors. Remain standing as Senior Pastor Steve Schultz of Parsons Foursquare Church in Parsons, Kansas offers today's invocation.
Lord, we thank you for this beautiful day, and we thank you for the privilege we have of being a part of this race today. And we're mindful of all those men and women serving us around this world. Keep them safe as they serve us. And Lord, now we pray for each driver, each crew member, and each official, that they would be safe throughout this race. And may your name be glorified. In Jesus' name, amen.
To honor our troops, please place your right hand over your heart as Army veteran Betty O. from Manhattan, Kansas performs our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch, with so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Well done. And a great crowd on a crisp early fall afternoon. 56 degrees right now as the drivers begin to buckle in for today's 400-mile race. Just a little something to think about here. 3 of the 6 races at this track in the Chase era have been won by drivers not in the championship. A number of good contenders to add to that total today. We'll see how it all plays out. The engines fire in Kansas next.
NASCAR Sprint Cup at Kansas is brought to you by the Ram 60-Day Handshake, a promise that's as strong and genuine as the trucks themselves. AT&T. Find out what's possible with the nation's fastest mobile broadband network. AT&T. Rethink possible. And Pepsi Max. Tune into the Pepsi Max 400 on October 10th for your chance to win one of 400 prizes and 400 miles. Champions play to win. They turn failure into progress and treat panic with patience. For one driver, hope is trumped by belief. A fearless pursuit of a destiny ride.
The drive for 5 is back alive.
On this team, victories are hard fought, and hope is something they take.
Mission accomplished. Nice work. Maximum points today, buddy.
For others, consistency is king, and the hope is to stay on top. But if lost, the race is over.
There's a problem for Matt Kenseth. Ridiculously loose getting in.
And maybe the chase.
High at the wall pretty hard.
A bad week has gone worse.
To stop a dynasty demands an act of defiance. Because without it, there is no hope.
Let's fight to the end, baby. Let's do it.
So many interesting stories as we get set to begin race 3 in the chase for the Sprint Cup. Our ESPN live coverage today from the speedy and sparkling Kansas Speedway, where the green flag is just moments away. Let's reset some of the stories for you to Pit Road and Jamie Little.
Well, last week after Jimmy Johnson's win, where he jumped up 4 positions in the points and gained 57 points on leader Denny Hamlin, they sent a message to the rest of the field. The drive for 5 for the 48 team is a reality. Yesterday after practice, the 11 team was left scratching their head, unsure of what they had for today's race. The 48 team, though, they were very confident and they are dialed in. Doc?
Well, many teams tell us that it is Kyle Busch, not Denny Hamlin, that they see as the primary threat to Jimmy Johnson's crowd. They point to Kyle's aggressiveness and evolving maturity both on and off the racetrack. But Kyle doesn't like this place. In fact, for good reason. Kyle's never had a top 5 finish here and has finished 21st or worse 4 times. Now, on the other hand, there's Carl Edwards, who loves his native track here in Kansas. Carl's never won here either in a Sprint Cup car, but says a win today would put them one step closer to that very first Sprint Cup title. Alan?
Carl coming from very deep in the starting field for this one as we get ready to fire him up and go racing today. Race 3 of the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup, the 10th ever race at this Kansas Speedway that opened back in 2001. Time to go trackside for the command.
It's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Here to give the command, please welcome our Grand Marshal Price Chopper Contest winner, Kelly Fuller.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
Crank it. Fire it up. Crank it. Fire it up. Crank it up. Good time, take bud. 2, 3, 4, 7.
Well, this is a race that could take on any number of looks across its 400 miles, whatever twists and turns the day takes. Our 3 men in the booth will be all over it. We say hello to Marty Reed with champion driver Dale Jarrett and champion crew chief Andy Petrie. Gentlemen.
Thank you, Alan. Hello again, everybody. And, of course, 4 of the last 8 races, we hear it over and over on the mile-and-a-half ovals. But, Andy, you want to talk about the fact you think this chase could be decided in pit road.
Well, the drivers are the stars of the show, no doubt about that. But it's going to maybe come down to pit road. And there's some drivers or some teams that are really performing down there for their drivers. And Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch's team, we averaged all of their 4-tire stops. They're competitive 4-tire stops. We took out some of the stops where maybe they were fixing wrecks or whatever. These are competitive 4-tire stops so far in the chase. 13.0. That's incredible performance by these teams. And even though, you know, the competition is so stiff out on the track, it could actually come down to pit road winning this race. It could also come down to pit road winning the championship.
And DJ, from the very beginning, you've talked about mistakes.
Yeah, you know, we've seen some drivers make some mistakes, uncharacteristic sometimes, getting on pit road, just like Andy's talking about, or missing pit road. So ultimately, yeah, you want to run well, you want to try to win races, but it's going to come down to who makes the fewest mistakes in trying to win this championship. And as a driver, to get back what Andy was talking about a little bit, when your pit crew does the job there, wow, what a huge confidence boost that is to you. On the other side of it, when either they have a problem or you sped on pit road getting yourself back in traffic, that's what can lose championships for you.
Well, one of the guys who's been most consistent is Carl Edwards. He has scored more points in the last 10 races than anybody, and he is our in-race reporter today. Let's talk to him, DJ.
Hey, Carl, Dale Jarrett, the ESPN. You have a copy?
I got you, Dale.
Hey, thanks for talking with us today, Carl. We had so many good questions from our mailbag and from your fans. We're going to use a couple of those to get this started. And Mariel from Hagerstown, Maryland asked, if given the chance today to take a risk like a fuel mileage gamble and go for the win, would you take it or settle just for a top 10?
Well, right now I'm sitting here staring at this crowd. We got a packed grandstand, and I met a lot of them today, and they're wearing 99 Aflac gear. So for sitting right here, I'd say we might take a risk, you know. But man, the big picture is that championship. So that's a really good question. I think we just have to weigh it when it comes. But a win here would be huge for me.
All right, Carl William from Arizona asked, why did so many drivers seem to spin off of turn 4 during practice, and will that factor into the race today?
Bob and I talked about that before the race. When I was riding around, before the race with the governor of Missouri, and he was asking me what made the track so hard, and we were going by all those skid marks. And I pointed at him, I said, that's what makes it difficult. You know, coming off of the corner, the tire and the car setup make it so loose off of 4. And you saw guys that were very good drivers spin out. So Bob and I talked about it. We think that might be a factor today. There might be some havoc over there.
Hey, Carl, we saw yesterday in the Nationwide race, this racetrack really widened out all the way up to the wall. When do you, as a driver, have to make that effort and know when to change to go from the bottom to the middle to the top or wherever it is you have to run?
Well, you know how it is. You got to run where the other people aren't running. So yesterday, I ran all the way up and hit the wall. I was trying, you know, to get something, that wasn't there. You know, trying to run higher and higher, and you got to clean it off a little bit at a time because it fills up with debris. But I guess if you go down the corner and you can't beat them on the bottom, you got to go to the top and vice versa.
All right, Carl. You have a great day. Thanks for talking with us, and we'll talk to you a little later on as you make your way towards the front.
It sounds good. I appreciate it. Have a good broadcast.
Carl's got a long way to go. He's got to go all the way from 31st starting position, the worst of the 12 chase contenders. And he mentioned those grandstands. Look at them in the background. Great crowd today, and we'll go green when we come back. Back here at Kansas Speedway, cars on the pace lap. We're just about ready to go green. Let's show you the onboard cameras we have for you today with Denny Hamlin, Greg Biffle, Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, Clint Boyer, Jimmy Johnson, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and our in-race reporter, Carl Edwards. Casey Kane was our pole sitter. It's his 3rd of 2010, 19th his career in a front row suite. First time this year for Richard Petty Motorsports. His teammate Paul Menard will be starting right alongside. 3 did not qualify, including 2004 winner Joe Nemechek, Mike Bliss, and Jason Leffler. 3 are going to the rear. Mark Martin and Marcus Ambrose for engines, and Casey Mears for transmission changes. Let's get the latest from pit road. Dave Burns, you want to talk about Kurt Busch?
Yeah, Marty, wins at Mile and a Half Charlotte and Atlanta earlier this year had Kurt Busch fans excited about coming to Kansas, but Kurt himself will tell you that this Mile and a Half track race is different for him. In 9 starts here, he's at an average finish of 19th and no wins. He's 4th in the chase right now. Today would be a perfect day for Kurt to make this Mile and a Half like all the others for him, Vince Welch.
Kevin Harvick has fallen 35 points since the chase began. Harvick believes that if he's to reinforce his position as a chase contender, he needs to do it with a good, strong run today. The 29 team believes they've had better cars than what the results have shown through the first 2 races in the chase. They like their car again today, but Marty, this is a day they need to capitalize.
And we'll find out if he can do that march to the front again. Let's check in with our over-the-wall reporter. It's the fueler for the number 7 on Kevin Conway. There he is, Randy Rodriguez. Randy, we saw a couple of guys getting splashed by fuel yesterday. What can you do to help those teammates out down there?
I think, Marty, you got to slow it down a little bit. A lot of these guys are trying to get into the car very quickly and before the car stops. And if you do that, you run the risk of splashing people. So I take my time. I get a good aim on the car. I get a good bead on it, and then I take my time and put it in. The main thing you want to do is put fuel in the car safely and get the stop done. And Kevin, down the road.
All right, you be safe down there. Have a great day.
Thanks, Marty.
Let's check our track facts. And again, we talk about the 1.5 miles and not a lot of banking in this track.
Yeah, that's a big key here. These guys are looking at 15 degrees of banking, and there's not a lot of grip in any of that. We'll see them searching for that all day long.
Weather yesterday was a factor. Wind was from 4 down to turn number 1.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot less today. The wind was a factor, big time factor yesterday. It's going to be a beautiful day for racing, hardly any wind and just sunshine all day.
All right, here are the chase points as we get ready to start this race. And you can see exactly where everybody is starting in this field. And there are the guys that have won at Kansas that are highlighted. Jimmy, Jeff, Greg, and Tony. In fact, Jeff and Tony have 2 wins apiece. What's interesting is, in the first 2 rows, Kane, Menard, Jeff Gordon, and Logano, those guys are winless in 2010. And we saw what happened yesterday in the first couple of rows in that race, in the nationwide race. So odds on right there. The first 4 have a great shot coming in to this race. Pace car lights are out. They're coming through turn 4 now. This great crowd all on their feet as they are getting ready to come out of turn number 4 here at Kansas Speedway. You can hear the cheers building as they come down the front straightaway. Led by pole sitter Casey Kane. Race number 3 of the NASCAR Sprint Cup chase for the championship is green. Paul Menard was slow getting to the gas. It's going to cost him a little bit. And look at Casey fire out as he heads for 3.
Well, Casey got a lot of confidence in that car. He got through turns 1 and 2. Looked like very little time out of the throttle.
Whoa, one car got awfully sideways.
Well, Jimmy Johnson down the apron already trying to make some passes down the front straightaway.
Side by side there, the 42 of Juan Pablo Montoya. Right alongside Greg Biffle. Behind him, Matt Kenseth and Kurt Busch.
Now, Montoya had a really good car in yesterday's final practice session. I think that he's got his sights trying to win this and forget about who's racing for a chase.
Biffle right in front of Montoya now, trying to hold on to the spot. Here comes Kurt. Here comes Montoya back on Greg. Up front, it is still Kane, Menard, Jeff Gordon. Or I should say Kane and Jeff Gordon in second. And then all of a sudden, what's happening to Biffle? He's sliding back a little.
Yeah, he is sliding back. On the left side of your screen there, Jeff Burton just went to the apron down the front straightaway to take a spot away from Jimmy Johnson, trying to pick up another one down the back straightaway.
Jeff Burton on the left side, now approaching up to Kyle Busch. On the right side, Montoya's got his hands full with brother Kurt.
So far, everything's been clean off turn 4. We saw a lot of problems over there in practice with, great race car drivers just spinning out over there.
Elliott Sadler getting passed by Jeff Burton now. There is your race leader. To give you an idea of the intervals now. As you can see, Kane, Gordon coming through.
Yeah, Jeff Gordon's run just a little bit quicker than our leader, Casey Kane, right now. Matt Kenseth down on the bottom.
But Montoya trying to clean that groove off up next to the wall.
Yeah, he was one of the first ones yesterday to start moving that groove up and getting things worked in. I'm sure he's glad to see those nationwide cars get it all the way to the top, Jamie.
And guys, Dave down here, I wanted to comment on the 17 car of Matt Kenseth. Talked with Jimmy Finnegan's crew chief this morning about that wind yesterday that was causing the spinouts. He told me gusts were up to close to 25 miles per hour, and today it's perfectly calm. That's a big swing.
All right, Dave, and there you see the numbers on Matt right now, and we talked about it in Countdown. This is a big day for him. Here comes Kyle Busch with Bill Elliott. Bill Elliott had his best starting position of the year today as Elliott started this race in the 11th position.
Yeah, I talked to Leonard Wood in the garage area this morning, and he said Bill was holding a pretty wheel qualifying. Hopefully he was going to do it today.
You know, Andy, you talked about this is a big race for Kyle Busch. this isn't the direct. They've kind of struggled at these places, and this would be kind of a benchmark for them since we have 3 other mile-and-a-half tracks, like what I see so far with this car.
They were pretty happy yesterday in practice. They found something that really made the car better, and Dave was talking about things that he didn't realize what Kyle really needed and how to give it to him, and I think they found some of that yesterday, and he said this would be a gauge race for them.
Let's check in on Mark Martin. Remember, he had to go to the rear. Well, he's picked up 9 spots. So is Casey Mears as they're marching their way forward right now. Mark has moved up to the 31st position.
Yeah, he was actually quickest for 1 lap time yesterday in happy hour. We heard him a number of times talk about how good he liked his race car.
Yeah, he ran the first lap of happy hour, fastest. Second lap, we tried to run quicker. Wound up in the grass, spun out.
Got Biffle right there with Montoya on his quarter panel. This is for the battle for 8th on the right side as we continue to watch Mark Martin trying to reel in Reed Sorensen. Montoya still going for that high line, a lot higher than everybody else right now, and all of a sudden, there's Denny Hamlin sneaking into the picture.
See which line Denny likes. He's kind of taking the middle road here.
Just have to try to make sure that you don't cross those seams right there that you're seeing any more than what you absolutely have to. You're going to have to as you exit the corner, but you want to be on a good straight line as you go across them.
How about Tony Stewart sneaking into the scene as well? There he is, right behind Denny. And of course, Tony started 14th.
Yeah, Tony said his car wasn't the very fastest on a short run, but he thought in a long run that he had as good a car as anybody here.
While these guys continue their battle, the margin up front for Casey Kane is up to 1 second over Jeff Gordon. In 3rd place, it is Paul Menard, then Ryan Newman. And some interesting stats on Ryan Newman over the last 5 races. We'll tell you when we come back. Make sure to go to Goodyear.com to check out Goodyear's Support Our Troops program. There you can send a thank you message from a NASCAR driver and enter for a chance to win a 2011 Ford Taurus and other great prizes. Riding on board with Dale Earnhardt Jr. here at the Price Chopper 400 at Kansas Speedway. He is running in 27th position. That's A.J. Allmendinger coming off 2 great runs back-to-back in 26th. And then Regan Smith right in front of A.J.
Yeah, Greg Biffle's on the move again. He looked a little bit slow there getting going, but man, he's found him something up top, and he's passing a lot of cars. What's he saying, Vince?
Well, he really likes 1 and 2, but off 3 and 4, he's got a handful tight to the center and then loose off. We're hearing that from a lot of teams up and down pit lane that turn 4 really feels no grip to the drivers. This is a huge race for the 16 team. Crew Chief Greg Irwin said to me today, the situation is critical for us. We've got to make big jumps these next 2 weeks. They come into this race 9th in the chase, 140 points out of the lead. They know they've got to have a big finish today. And, well, didn't start so good, but Biffle moving back toward the front again.
He is one of the former winners here at Kansas. And remember also, he was one of the guys that spun in that slick turn 4. Kurt Busch, the best with the 1.5 mile track so far this year. And you can see the move that he's made right now is just 1 position up to 8th. He's got Joey Logano right in front of him.
Yeah, and I think those stats sometimes can be a little bit misleading because I know a lot of people think that these 1.5 mile tracks are all very similar. This place right here is totally different. The guys that I talked with said, yeah, you can compare it a little bit to Chicago, but not nearly as much grip. You don't have that banking. Just makes it a much more difficult place to negotiate. Doc?
Exactly, DJ. And as good as Kurt has been at other racetracks, he has been terrible here. In fact, quote, he said he hates this place. He has never had a top 5 finish here. He said, you know, coming in here, 4th in the point standings, their total goal is to come out of here with a top 10 finish. He said, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being our worst track in the chase, this is definitely number 1. We know we're going to struggle here. He said, we just want to make sure we don't get in trouble and come out with a top 10 and be able to hang in the top 5 in the points and then go to our good tracks like Charlotte and Texas.
Great point, Doc, as he takes a look underneath the 20. Kurt's going to try and take over that position. Busch looking to take over 7th place.
He's selling himself a little short, as good as he's running today. The 2 car looks strong.
Well, while we were talking about guys coming up through the field, mentioned Mark Martin. Let's check in on the 99 of Carl Edwards, because remember, he started 31st. He has picked up 11 spots now. He's moved into the 20th position. And you were talking about how statistics can be misleading. Carl has scored the most points in the last 10 races. But this year, on the 1.5 mile tracks, he is the worst average amongst the 12 that are in the chase at 15.9.
Yeah, but I think a lot of that goes back to early on this season. This Carl's team and the rest at Roush Fenway really struggled a lot, especially on the high-speed racetracks. They found something in their program. They worked extremely hard. They've got their engine program in order. So this team is definitely on a high now, and so they forget about what happened early on.
As he tiptoes through that corner, look at him working the wheel. Let's check back in on Kasey Kahne. You know, 5 of Casey's 11 Cup wins have come from the pole position. And right now, his lead, as he comes across the stripe again, is 1.4 seconds, Jamie Little.
Well, it's smooth sailing for Kasey Kahne right now, but I spoke to his crew chief, Kenny Francis, this morning. He said, we have been off this weekend. And when we went out there in qualifying, it was a shock to all of us. He said, so our only saving grace today is to get out front, check out, get as much of a lead, and stay in that clean air. Our car loves this cool air. We need to stay there. Otherwise, it could be trouble for Kasey Kahne.
Well, the 24 car is starting to close a little bit, though. He's chipped off a couple of tenths. We'll see how it is this time, as there's your top 5 here at Kansas. I know I didn't tell you about that Newman stat. I promise I'll get to it when we come back. Shuffle at the front of the field here in race number 3 for the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup, as Jeff Gordon has taken the lead from Kasey Kahne here in the Price Chopper 400. Let's take you back and show you how it happened.
Yeah, he just methodically was chasing him down, beating him every lap, about somewhere between a tenth and 2 tenths. Was able to catch him a little bit more in traffic, and see Jeff goes to the bottom of the racetrack. He's talking about a loose race car. That's working for him really good right now.
Well, I think a racetrack really comes around for, you know, usually you hear a lot about these new cars actually getting looser as you go, but I talked to Bob Osborne, crew chief for Carl Edwards. He told me that this is the tightest racetrack that they go to, that it's really difficult to get the car free enough and turning good enough here, so they have to start really loose. That's why we saw a lot of cars spinning out in practice.
Change for position back in 3rd and 4th. Ryan Newman has gotten around Matt Kenseth, and we promised it this interesting statistic. Ryan has the 3rd best average over the last 5 races at 8.2. Just think what might have been had he had that 5-race stretch prior to Richmond.
Yeah, just a little bit sooner. That's the when you peak a little late, that's what happens, but that's just the way the system is. He kind of knew it when they started out.
Yeah, sport's all about timing, you know, whether it's getting the right ride or getting your things going in the right direction. But it's nice that they can get things going in that direction and finish the season off that way.
Dave, you got more?
And Marty, when Tony Gibson, crew chief, and I were talking about things on that 39 car this morning, he said basically that, you know, he's been looking at those recent finishes and just wishes they hadn't had those 4 failures to finish early in the season. He says that's what kept us out of the chase. He said, I just feel blessed that we even had a chance. Remember, they finished just outside the top 12.
That's right. And right now, if we were under the old system, he would be inside the top 12. But as we said, it's when you make the performance. And he is pulling away now from the 17 of Matt Kenseth. There you see Paul Menard, Kurt Busch, Tony Stewart, Joey Logano, and Jeff Burton. That's right. Mr. Burton has picked up 11 spots since the start of this race. He is up to the 12th position, guys.
Yeah, he's kind of moving around the racetrack. I saw him earlier right down on the bottom, making some passes right there on the high side. Just went by Denny Hamlin.
I think that's what makes you have an opportunity to win at this racetrack, is being a driver that's ready to move around, knowing and getting that from your car. We heard Carl talk about that a little earlier, knowing when to go.
And we have 5 chasers all together right there, and there goes Harvick around Denny Hamlin.
I think it's more of a case of Denny Hamlin going backwards right now.
Yeah. You're going to see Jimmy Johnson come into the picture right behind Hamlin, so these are 2 guys that started up in the front of the points are hanging around back just outside around 15th spot now.
Well, Hamlin's 15th. Jimmy Johnson is 16th. Hamlin goes around Kevin Conway, who is 1 lap down. We have a total of 39 cars currently on the lead lap. Jimmy has not made a move towards the front. He's only picked up to the 16th position right now, as we're on board with Denny, who is riding 15th. Let's get an update on Kevin Harvick. Vince Welch, what do you have?
Well, Harvick's up 10 spots. He started 24th, but he still says the car is too tight. It's certainly not to his liking for the long run, and this is a team that believes they've got a good car for the long run. So Harvick talking about already with changes that he'd like to make with Gil Martin, but the good news is they've moved forward up 10 spots. Doc?
Likewise, Vince, Kyle Busch up 6 positions from 19th to 13th. You know, Kyle's been in a great mood all weekend. When he qualified 19th, he climbed out of the car and went over and thanked his guys. He said, "Are you kidding me? You just qualified 19th." He said, "No, that's the best I have ever qualified here in the new car, what was called the COT car." Because he qualified 28th and 34th the past couple of years. Right now, Kyle's talking about the car needing some rear grip, mostly off the corner. Needs to turn a little better in the middle of the corner, but still moving up. Jamie?
Well, Doc, this current series points leader, Denny Hamlin, is falling back. He started this race 12th. He's now 15th. I talked to Mike Ford, his crew chief, this morning. He said, "We honestly have no idea what we have for today." He shook his head and said, "Our balance was never right. We were loose and then tight. And right now, he is just too tight. That car is not turning the way they need to." Marty?
All right, thanks for the update, Jamie. And, of course, we'll be keeping tabs on the points leader. Here comes Kevin Harvick taking a look on the inside of the 18 of Kyle Busch.
Seen Kevin Harvick do something as he gets to the bottom of the racetrack here, but he's been catching these guys by running the high side. We used to never see Kevin Harvick do that much of moving around on the racetrack and running a lot on the high side. And I think that just goes to show when you have a good race car that you can do things as a driver that maybe you didn't do before, and they certainly have good race cars at RCR right now.
Well, I talked to the team, and they're really surprised that they got that win at Michigan by running almost the entire race on the outside. And if you talk to other drivers, this track race is a lot like Michigan.
So you see Harvick trying to close in now as Montoya closes on the 00 of David Rudiman. All 4 of those cars battling for position. Rudiman in 11th on back. Back up front is a 3.3-second lead now for Jeff Gordon. Entering today, Gordon had led only 6 laps here at Kansas since his win back in 2001. Under our first caution here, and you look on the right side of the 4201 Pablo Montoya, you can see the reason why he has scrubbed the wall between turns 3 and 4. He was 12th at the time, guys.
We saw him go up to the top side of the racetrack early in the race, but he's just a little bit too far right there at that part of the track. Got up in that loose stuff, got in the wall.
A few laps before this yellow came out, take a look at Kyle Busch at the back of your screen.
You see, he gets just a little bit loose off the corner. That safer barrier comes out there just enough to catch a little bit of the right rear quarter panel of the 18 car.
Might have rubbed the decal off. I don't think he's got any damage.
Bad news for Jeff Gordon fans. It wipes out a 3.5-second lead. We went 67 green flag laps yesterday. We made it 41 today.
Well, it's an opportunity for the pit crews to get involved here, see what they can do.
We talked about how important they are.
It's going to be very important. These caution flag pit stops especially, because just a half a second, you can lose 5 or 6 spots because everybody is so close and competitive down there.
I think that this means last run, we heard the discussion early in the countdown show, would get 2 or 4. I think everybody's going to put 4 tires, adjust their car to that before we even consider that. I'm not sure that we're going to see 2 tires at all today.
Well, Jeff Gordon leads everybody down. Let's send it down to Dave Burns.
Ryan Newman trying to continue that string of good finishes. Rolling the center is his problem car, a little bit tight. They'll make a chassis and air pressure adjustment, fill it full of Sunoco fuel. The 16 of Greg Biffle started 5th, fell back to 10th, worked his way back to 5th. They like the car a little loose off. They're going to make a slight air pressure adjustment in the right rear. Jamie?
Jeff Gordon's freeness off was hurting him terribly. He wants to tighten it up a bit. Air pressure adjustment, 4 tires, bottom of your screen. Casey Kane said he's just a little bit tight, couldn't run the high side. Air pressure adjustment, a little bit of tape on the grill. Race off pit road. Let's see who will get the job done quicker. Jeff Gordon it is. Wins the race off pit road. You see Casey Kane just trekking across, guys, but it looks like, yep, Ryan Newman gains the spot. Marty?
In our Longhorn Steakhouse race off pit road, it was Ryan Newman picking up a spot as Casey Kane drops one. And the 48 got pinned. We'll bring you up to date on where it all sorts out. But right now, things are looking pretty interesting here at Kansas. All right, let's take a look at the pit stops. We said they were going to be important, Andy.
Yeah, look at these Jeff Gordon team, 12.3. That's well under their average. Denny Hamlin, another great stop, and Kyle Busch. Those 2 right there, those 2 Gibbs cars are always good on pit road. You see the chase average. That's their average 4-tire competitive pit stop during the chase. These teams here are lower than their average.
Now, we mentioned that Jimmy Johnson got pinned. He is back in 21st position, right where he started this race.
Yeah, you compare his pit stop to Jeff Gordon's, and you can see a couple seconds. That'll lose spots every time. And you see that's 5 spots for Jimmy. Looks like a lot of it on the right.
All right, let's quickly go over the wall with Randy Rodriguez, the gas man on number 7.
Going back to the wall to get the feel. Waiting for my changers to come. Okay, that's it.
And nobody got
nice
splashed.
And easy, no drama. Breathing a little hard. Get excited about
I'd be breathing hard too if I had to carry all that fuel. All right, let's set it for you. Jeff Gordon's taking the inside. Ryan Newman, who's now in second, and Casey Kane, Kenseth, and Stewart.
Uh-oh. We got Bill Elliott.
Elliott's slow on the restart. Now he's getting back up to speed. Missed gear, maybe?
Yeah, that's exactly what that looked like. So a lot of guys looked like they were spinning the tires trying to get going, but I think that was more that Bill just couldn't get it in gear. Jeff Gordon take that inside. That looks like the place to be, especially since he's in control of the start of the race there.
I don't think it would have mattered. He blasted out there about 4 or 5 car lengths in front of everybody. He could kind of choose his lane by the time he got to turn 1.
36 of J.J. Yell. He got the Aaron's lucky dog, and he is back on the lead lap. 2 cars behind the wall. McDowell in the 46, Landon Castle in the 64. That gets you up to date. And now you can see what's happening out on the track. Denny Hamlin's got his mirrors full of teammate Joey Logano. Jeff Gordon's got nothing but clean air in front of him.
Saw that slow car on the apron look like Bobby Labonte.
Yeah, he was just coming back out from pit road. He had taken another stop. Battle for third place between Casey Kane and Kurt Busch. The beer wagon's going door to door.
Yeah, it's looking like that lighter car might get it done here.
He's got the position and under attack from now Matt Kenseth.
Kurt Busch has to be extremely excited about his race car today. He had made a couple of spots on that initial run. Looks like they made a good adjustment for him here on the restart.
Another guy has got to be happy is Tony Stewart. Here he comes on Casey. He gets tail happy, opens the door for Tony. Here he comes on the low side.
Tony's won here twice. He obviously knows what he's looking for in his race car, and they all seemed excited about their chances here today.
Anytime the grip level's low, Tony Stewart runs good. I mean, he knows how to get the most out of a car on a slick racetrack.
Well, our pole sitter is falling back, and Jimmy Johnson's got a bit of a sandwich, and he's the meat between Allmendinger and Dale Jr.
Yeah, it's the second time since this restart that I've seen Jimmy Johnson in a 3-wide situation. Looks like he's having a little bit of difficult time getting his car up to speed. You certainly don't want to be in the middle.
He's in 24th position right now.
Well, bad pit stop's what put him back there, Jamie.
Exactly, and he lost 5 positions, Andy, as you guys documented. I talked to Chad Canales, his crew chief, this morning. He said his biggest fear today was having Jimmy back there in the pack. He said that is when bad things happen. And you see the 88 get sideways right in front of him. But this is their biggest fear, so Jimmy has to take some risk here. Get to the front. Track position is everything. But, guys, he's only gone backwards since the start of this race.
Well, and only one of Johnson's 19 chase wins came from a starting position outside the top 10. He was 21st today, and that's the deepest that anyone's ever won in 9 prior races here at Kansas, and that was done by Tony Stewart.
Well, he's extremely aggressive. I saw him make a couple of really tight moves right there on the 83.
Caution as David Ruderman spins it around. Look out, can everybody get through?
All right, David, get it going. It hit square on the rear end, but the 18 just run right over us.
Well, you hear David, or the spotter, talking about Kyle Busch. He was 11th at the time, and there's some damage.
Looking for some damage. I don't see any obvious damage on the front of Kyle Busch's car.
It's a little optical illusion with the paint job right there on the one front part of the nose. All right, let's look from the 18 car.
556.
Yeah, it looked like Ruderman got out of the throttle just a little bit, kind of feathering it.
Caution will be out.
Now watch how close this gets. There's Carl Edwards passed safely.
Yes, he's sliding down the racetrack here. Have to really slow down and see Jimmy Johnson all the way on the bottom side of the apron to get by.
Reed Sorensen goes low. Scott Speed goes high. Ambrose goes low. So does Regan Smith. And there you can see the damage on the right rear quarter.
It's a lot, too. You can see that kink in the quarter panel. That means that entire rear section of the body is definitely damaged.
tough break for David Ruderman. It started 16th in this race.
Yeah, and you had to think that they were going to be really good here today after they won at Chicago, a track that a lot of drivers consider being similar to this, so their hopes were pretty high, but going to be tough today.
Up front, it is still Jeff Gordon with Ryan Newman, Kurt Busch, Matt Kenseth, and Tony Stewart, the top 5. Let's go back one more time, give you another perspective from the 11 of Denny Hamlin.
I'm in front of you. Stay low, stay low. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Caution's out.
Carl almost got into Denny as he checked up, and Jimmy Johnson is coming down pit road, as is several others. There's Clint Boyer, Jamie McMurray.
Basically the back half of the field on pit road. See Jimmy Johnson's crew going to work.
He came in the 23rd position.
See the wrench in the window there, making a chassis adjustment.
26 of Patrick Carpentier pitted right in front of the 48. There you see Montoya going out, Speed, Ambrose, there's Jimmy.
Making some major changes on that 48. Took a long time on pit road.
They sure did. Well, stay with us. When we come back, we'll reset everything and go green once again. The top 18 stayed out here after 267 laps at Kansas, race number 3 for the 2010 chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. And our Aaron's lucky dog is going to go to the 34, Travis Kvapil. He gets back on the lead lap. That gives us now a total of 22 cars on the lead lap. 3 cars behind the wall, J.J. Yeley, Bobby Labonte, Landon Castle. McDowell's back out. He's 5 laps down.
Saw a lot of those cars pit, but Denny Hamlin stayed out. He's 15th. He's right there around that cutoff point where everybody behind him is going to have tires. Even though they're only 9 laps fresher, he might be in a little bit of a vulnerable spot.
Let me correct one thing. It's 35 cars total on the restart on the lead lap, scoring and recycled. Jimmy Johnson's going to be restarting 28th. He is dead last out of the 12 that are in the chase. Jeff Gordon has now decided to try the high side after last time going down low. It'll be Newman alongside Kurt Busch, Kenseth, Stewart. That's your top 5.
And Jeff Gordon gets going.
Yeah, I think the leader here has such an advantage because this is a difficult track to get up to speed. You'll spin the tires very easily, so I think that makes it look even more so. So I don't think it's really going to matter. They're 4 wide.
4 wide. Boyer had him down low. Here comes Mark Martin up high. Jamie McMurray, and it's getting dicey. Ambrose sneaking through, as well as Allmendinger. Now, somewhere in that pack, there's the 48. They're just holding their breath.
Gosh.
Battle for the lead now, as here comes Matt Kenseth. It's on the restart. He got around Ryan Newman. And does he get him at the stripe? Kenseth in front by a nose.
Yeah, Matt Kenseth had a good run going at Dover last week until he made that error trying to get onto pit road where he slid the tires and blew the left front out. So this team is showing that they're better and more competitive, but they have to stay away from mistakes.
Denny Hamlin alongside Joey Logano. Carl Edwards right alongside there as well. That is 14th, 15th, and 16th.
Yeah, Carl's done a nice job after that qualifying effort that started him in 31st, so he's worked his way up there. Knows he has plenty of time to get there today if he has a good race car. You can hear how they really have to feather the throttle even with good tires on these. Just not any banking. It really flattens out coming off of these corners. So you really have to know that the car's you have it under control.
Right side of your screen, that's Kyle Busch with Paul Menard. That is for 8th position on the racetrack. And on the left side, that battle for the 14th. Let's check in this gaggle of cars that Jimmy Johnson still finds himself in. He is still in 24th place, just trying to find some clean air.
Well, he's racing aggressive back there. He's made a lot of moves, bold moves, trying to move his way up.
Yeah, finding clean air, he's going to be not doing that for quite a while.
It's A.J. Allmendinger on the high side. Marcus Ambrose right in front of him. Greg Biffle also looking for a great day here. He is trying to put the move on the 9 of Casey Kane. That's for 6th.
Yeah, so far we're seeing drivers that really need a good day that are involved in the chase having that so far, be able to capitalize when Denny's back there outside of the top 10 and Jimmy Johnson struggling even more than that.
On board with Kyle Busch. Here comes Carl Edwards alongside and passing the 11 of Denny Hamlin.
Sam Hornish Jr. right in front of Carl Edwards having a great run so far.
Yeah, Hornish has been in that top 20 group since the start of the race. Battle for fourth. Tony Stewart going around teammate Ryan Newman. That may be the only car on the racetrack that Ryan Newman does not race hard all the time.
I bet if it came down to the end for the win, he'd race him pretty hard.
Well, Newman won this race back in 2003. His last Kansas top 15 finish. You know, we talk about teammates. Tony talked about it as well.
The whole concept of a multi-car team is to share information and share resources. That doesn't change because only one guy makes it and doesn't make it. The things that you do every week to try to be successful each week, week in and week out, are the same things that you're trying to accomplish in the chase.
Well, one of the things that we have not seen in the first two races at this stage, right now, the top 5 all chase contenders. That has not been the case both at Loudon and at Dover last week. Tony Stewart, Kurt gets a little loose. Tony takes advantage, takes the low line. They head for one.
Yeah, in case those first three guys up there hadn't figured it out, their spotter hadn't told them, or their crew chief, they're going to have to deal with Tony Stewart if they're going to try to win this race today. Andy, I think you put it perfectly when you said that the slicker the racetrack, the more competitive Tony Stewart is, and he's showing that here today.
Let's drop back to Casey Kane, our pole sitter, because Jeff Burton has really been coming on. He's got his teammate Kevin Harvick right behind him. That is 8th, 9th, and 10th.
All these Childress cars are on the move going forward. They don't qualify good. I don't know. Last week they didn't qualify very well, but ran great in the race with the 31 car. Jeff Burton finishing second. But boy, they have a great race package. I don't know why that doesn't cross over to qualifying.
All 3 Childress cars qualified outside the top 20 this week, but here they come, 9th, 10th, and 17th. Let's get an update on the 31, Dave Burns.
And I talked to Todd Berrier about that today. You know, Todd says, I think Jeff's a better qualifier than he thinks he is, and yet sometimes the results don't show that. But I'll tell you what, if anybody's going to go to the front from a bad starting position without getting that loose, it's going to be the 31, because he's qualified back there so often, we know he can pass in traffic. And there goes Harvick right next to him, Vince.
Well, and Kevin Harvick qualified 24th for this race, and they were actually happy about it because that was so much better than what they'd done the first 2 races in the chase. That just means they've got to pass more cars during those green flag runs. And as you see Harvick go by Burton on the inside, Kane there on the outside, Gil Martin and Kevin Harvick were hoping for long green flag runs today. They feel like they've got the car on the green flag runs if they're long. He said, we want green flag runs and green flag pit stops, so keep an eye on that throughout the course of the day. If they get it, Harvick may be one to deal with late in this race.
Well, Vince, to follow up on your point, we've had 5 straight races where we've had a green flag stretch of at least 100 laps. And the first stretch here went, 41. So let's go check back up front, because Matt Kenseth right now is our 4th different leader with 4 lead changes. So as we head to commercial break, Kenseth leads by 1.1 seconds, and he needs to win or finish big today.
Sprint brings you an inside look at the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup on the Now Network. The standings as they run a quarter of the distance into today's race. Denny Hamlin still hanging on to the #1 spot, but behind him things would shuffle up a little bit with Kyle Busch and then his brother Kurt sliding up into 2nd and 3rd, but still 3/4 of this race to go. For more NASCAR, top speed, that's been turned by Kyle Busch today. How about 197 miles an hour
fast
on this 1.5-mile Kansas track? For more NASCAR stats, in-car audio, and live race radio, check out NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile at sprint.com/speed. From the ESPN pit studio, Alan Bestwick, Rusty Wallace, Brad Doherty at the 1/4 mark of the race. Matt Kenseth leads, Tony Stewart 2nd. You're watching Greg Biffle just go around Jeff Gordon for the #3 position. Gordon back to 4th, Kurt Busch rounding out your top 5. Quick thought, Rusty, on the first quarter of the race.
Well, watching Jeff Gordon a little bit right there. He's complaining how loose he is, but the first part of the race, he was really running fast, even though he was loose. But right now, I think he's starting to pay for it. He's starting to really slip back now.
Race for 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th there. Ryan Newman slid back from 2nd on the restart from that last caution. Now he's trying to regain some of the lost ground, Brad.
Yeah, he really is. And it's interesting watching Jimmy Johnson. He's really struggled trying to get his way back up from the back. But Carl Edwards has come from 31st all the way up to 10th. He's on the move.
All right, so there you go. As we watch this group race, the race for the #1 spot is tightened up a little bit. As we go back to Marty, DJ, and Andy, going to have us a little challenge for the top spot.
We are certainly keeping our eye on it because Tony Stewart has been the quicker car last lap by 0.2 of a second, and you can see the margin right there on your screen. The top 4 spots held down by those that are in the chase. Let's see what the tracker shows, and there you go. He has gained.
Tony Stewart at one time at Indy, he's talking about here, kitty. He's been reeling this 17 in every lap. And look at this. The lap that he should catch him on is 78. You can see the lap blinking right there is the lap we're on. When that graph looks like that, it looks pretty good for the second place car because it means he's catching the leader.
Yeah, I think Tony will have to probably change his line just a little bit to keep some air on the nose of his car. See, now Jimmie Johnson has caught Denny Hamlin. Andy, you talked about Hamlin being back there on that edge of where these other guys had fresh tires, and it's costing him a little bit right here now.
Well, that's the thing. You hate being that last guy that does not get tires because that kind of puts you right in the throes of the guys that have tires. So here comes Jimmy. They made an adjustment on his car, put tires on it. Now you can see he's going the right direction.
Yeah, and actually he's now just picked up that spot to move him up to 15th and give him 13 spots. Way to go, guys in graphics. They already switched it just as we were talking about it. The view from Jimmy checking in on Kevin Harvick. Harvick's gotten around Ryan Newman, bumped him back to the 8th position. So right now the top 7 positions held by members of the chase.
We saw Harvick get real aggressive with his teammate Jeff Burton, trying to get by, put him in a 3-wide situation. But it looks like Harvick has a good car. He must have known he had a better car than Burton, and that's why he was a little more aggressive trying to get the spot. He's really driven his way up to the front.
Yeah, and watched him do it from the bottom, the middle, and the top of the racetrack that he's going to choose down here in 3 and 4 now. So this race car seems to be handling well wherever he needs to take it.
The gap between first and second, it's down to just 0.2 of a second. Tony Stewart still running a tick quicker than Matt Kenseth.
Well, we saw him reel him in pretty good. He was a couple of tenths quicker. Then when he gets to this point, that's when that arrow kind of takes over and you lose that front end just a little bit because of that air that's getting disturbed from the lead car.
And just an idea of what we're talking about, that these cars being bigger, they make a bigger hole in the air, so it takes it longer to get back to the nose of the car there. So that makes a big difference. But Matt Kenseth doing a nice job, Dave.
And DJ, you know why he doesn't want to give up the lead? Because he hasn't led laps since Michigan in June. And then it was only 2 laps. So even before this first caution that we had today, they were about 10 laps away from a green flag stop. Matt said, let's try to stay out and get some bonus points. That even as they came into today, 11th in the championship, 165 points out. They're not giving up. He's not trying to give up the lead in any way possible, Doc.
After frustration by Tony Stewart in the first 2 races of the chase at Dover and New Hampshire, Tony has brought his best gun to the gunfight in Kansas. This is a car, by the way, that Tony got his very first win for Stewart-Haas Racing in the Sprint All-Star race back in May of 2009. Earlier this year, he set on the pole and finished second at Pocono. And folks, 4 weeks ago, it was this car that Tony dominated Atlanta with, leading 176 laps to get his only win of the year. He's open for win number 2 right now, but right now also he's hoping to take the lead from Matt Kenseth, guys.
And he just did, Doc, as he slides on past. So 25 laps led by Matt Kenseth. He had led a total of 35 in the entire 2010 season. And now Kenseth gets another good run trying to come back on him to maybe retake the lead. And I don't think that's going to work. Kyle Busch and Ryan Newman right there.
Kyle's starting to fall back some here. Kevin Harvick's passed him, and now Ryan Newman's going back by him.
So maybe something a little amiss on the 18.
You can just hear Kyle Busch having to get out of the throttle. He probably was reacting to Ryan Newman having to get out of it slightly coming off the corner.
You see Newman trying to pull away. Meanwhile, Kevin Harvick all over the number 2 of Kurt Busch. That is for 5th on the racetrack.
Well, it's been an impressive march forward for this 29 car, Kevin Harvick.
Started 24th. Should be closing in on another round of pit stops. Could they be under the green flag conditions? Right now we're running clean and green as you take a look at the top 5 here at Kansas after 82 laps.
After another long green run, time for the pit crews to limber up, get ready to go over the wall and go to work. Tony Gibson talking to one of the officials. Here's what we're looking to do. Jimmy Johnson's crew getting ready to go to work, trying to help their driver gain some ground from 15th position as we run under the green here at Kansas Speedway in race 3 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Tony Stewart leading Matt Kenseth by 1.5 seconds. Greg Biffle, Jeff Gordon, and now Kevin Harvick up into the top 5. Harvick having taken that number 5 position from Kurt Busch just 2 laps ago. Long green flag run here, Rusty. Couple of guys we've been watching. We talked about Harvick just a second ago. Impressive march forward for him.
Yeah, he's the guy I'm really paying attention to right now, Alan. Kevin Harvick is flat flying out there. He has really moved up to this field. And, you know, he's led the points all year long. And right now he's currently 4th in the standings, and he's 5th on the track, and he is really running good.
And a guy who's really fallen back, Brad, is Clint Boyer.
Yeah, really surprised. You know, this was a hometown event for Clint Boyer. We thought he was going to see his best today. Really struggling with that race car. Can't gain any track position, not advancing himself at all. Tough day right now for Clint Boyer.
Now, Vince, he was one of the guys that pitted on the second caution. He was actually the first in line on the restart of those guys that stopped. He was 19th. What's he doing back in 33rd?
Well, they actually felt like the car was better after they made initial adjustments from that first pit stop. But he says the car is just wobbling like crazy. In fact, getting worse and worse. And Mike Dillon, his spotter, thought maybe that Clint was having a flat, but they've gone beyond that, not having a flat tire. But just the handling of that car has really gone away from him, and he has a handful. Can't wait to make that pit stop, Alan.
Not today. The hometown hero was looking for it. Now, most of the leaders pitted at lap 43. We had another group of cars that came in at 53, so we expect the front runners as we watch this change of position as Biffle goes by Matt Kenseth for the number 2 spot. We expect most of the front runners in about 3 or 4 laps from now, maybe just a couple more than that because of the caution laps figured in. But Marty, DJ, and Andy, again another round of pit stops. And Andy, if you're the guys that pitted under the second caution, you going to stay out there and wait on a yellow, or are you going to come in on that the differential between the new tires and the older tires?
You know what I'm doing, Alan.
Yeah, you're coming in.
Yeah, I'm coming with the leader. You knew that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give it up. The cars that pitted, like Mark Martin took 2 tires. Jimmy Johnson took 4. I've been really paying attention how that worked out for him. And right now, Jimmy Johnson just moved back around Mark Martin. So really, 2 tires is not the way to go. And Clint Boyer also took 2 tires, and you saw where he was running. So I wouldn't even think about that.
Yeah, and I think today's landscape and the rules that we have with the wave around and such has changed that thinking a little bit about trapping people a lap down, because they can stay out there with the wave around and you don't really gain that much by that. They may lose some track position for a while, but that's really not the key anymore. I think you can't give up that time on tires.
Yeah, that's the thing. You stay out there and try to get that caution. You lose so much track position that it's really not worth the gamble.
Speaking of gaining track position, how about the 99 of Carl Edwards? Started 31st. He's picked up 21 spots, trying to make it 22 at the expense of Kyle Busch. This is for 9th.
Talk about a home court advantage. Carl Edwards talking early in the race, or before the race started, how these fans really motivate him, and this is one race he really would like to win.
Longer this run goes, on the right side of your screen, Jeff Burton's car coming back to life. He's looking underneath the number 2, the blue deuce of Kurt Busch, for the 6th position. Let's go to Vince Welch.
Well, the 42 of Juan Pablo Montoya, remember he had a little bit of wall contact earlier, been fighting a loose race car throughout the course of the race, and that's something they've dealt with over the course of the weekend. They felt like when the car was fast, it didn't have good balance. When they got it balanced, they didn't have the speed. Fighting loose today, the 42.
So he'll get back out on track. Whoa, and boy, did you see Burton get loose again? That's 2 times in 1 lap, guys.
Yeah, he's driving the heck out of this race car, but he'd been making his time up on the high side of the racetrack, and that's where Kurt Busch is running. So Jeff's trying to pass him on the inside here, which is the only place that he can. So that's extremely loose right there.
I tell you, just get the good out of these tires. We're going to take them off here in just a few laps.
Yeah, you don't want to do anything that puts you into the wall this close to the pit stop. Word is that Tony Stewart, our race leader, could be coming to pit road.
Yeah, Greg Biffle's following him in.
There he is. Doc, it's all yours.
4,100 RPMs in second gear, 45 miles an hour. Tony, you said the car is better on zone exit. Still needs to roll the center better. Darian Grubb's going to make the appropriate change in air pressure. 4 tires, and we'll get it completely full of Sunoco fuel. Right side tires going on. Chassis adjustment. Now left side. Clean stop so far. Jack up. Left front, left rear on. Vince.
The 16 of Greg Biffle started loose and then tightened up. They had a tough stop the first time. They lost 3 spots, but much cleaner on this second stop. Air pressure adjustment. Dave Burns.
Matt Kenseth had fallen back to the 3rd place. Losing grip, running free was his addition, and they're going to make adjustments for that on the 17 car. 39 car Brian Newman is in as well. Brian had been running in the 8th position, falling back because his car was squirmy loose. Track bar adjustment for the Army Chevrolet. Vince.
What a good run it's been for Kevin Harvick. We told you he wanted a long green flag run, and he got it. He marched right up through the field. He says the car's still a little bit too loose. They're going to go back on a previous track bar adjustment and make a 4-tire change for the 29 of Kevin Harvick. Clean off that grill.
And the pit stops continue to cycle through. Here comes Kurt Busch, followed by Jeff Burton. You see everybody coming back out. There's Jimmy Johnson at the bottom of your screen.
Yeah, we just talked about Jimmy Johnson pitting with these leaders. He did just that.
4-tire stop. He is back out onto the racetrack. You see Jeff Gordon just pulling in. There's Burton. Service done on the 31. He's back underway. A.J. Allmendinger is shown as your race leader right now. Taking a little bit of time on that left rear.
Yeah, making a chassis adjustment there. Looked like they were either pulling the spring rubber out or putting one in.
It actually cost them a little bit of time since they'd make that.
Those are hard to do. It's hard to make that decision under green to make that kind of adjustment because every time it's going to cost you some time.
We mentioned A.J. as the race leader. Now he pulls in. Dave?
And the 43 of A.J. Allmendinger made a 4-tire stop on his first run, a 2-tire stop with no changes on his last run, and will definitely take on 4 this time.
Patrick Carpentier is shown as the race leader right now. He has yet to make a stop with Gilliland Quapple right behind, then Tony Stewart. So the top 3 are going to have to stop, and it'll cycle through with Tony retaking the race lead. Problems for the 77 of Sam Hornish Jr. And he had a good run going. He won the IndyCar race when they ran back here in 2006. He had been running consistently in the top 20, had even poked his nose into the top 15 for a bit of a stretch, and now they're on pit road. Carl Edwards and Ryan Newman, and we're hearing it's a drive shaft issue, Andy, on the 77.
Yeah, more than likely it broke that pinion that holds the drive shaft at the rear and let the drive shaft fall to the ground. You have that happen a lot of times on these concrete pit stalls where you let the car down and just at the right time it can snap that drive shaft. Is that what happened to him, Jamie?
That's exactly a broken drive shaft. Unfortunate, guys. He worked his way up all the way into the top 10. Now they push the 77 machine back behind the wall.
So another tough end so far for Sam Hornish. She's to the right side of your screen. You see the battle for 12. And as we mentioned, the race leader right now is the 26 of Patrick Carpentier. He last pitted on lap number 53.
These guys here are going to take a chance by staying out there that extra time that they have to keep themselves on the lead lap. You know, they don't have a great car, but Patrick doing a fantastic job with this.
Right behind him is the 19. That's Elliott Sadler running the colors for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And then Marcus Ambrose also along there.
Sadler that pitted. You see right here. This is the second place car right here, David Gilliland.
Right. Should point out Sadler is the first car 1 lap down. Ambrose the second car 1 lap down. So they're going to be fighting it out for the lucky dog spot. See the numbers on David Gilliland. He too has yet to make a stop. He last pitted also on lap 53. And just 6.8 seconds back from the race leader, and 3 seconds behind is our race leader, or soon to be race leader, will be Tony Stewart when the first 2 end up making their stop. And Stewart's gap over Greg Biffle is over 2 seconds. Let's go on board with Jimmy Johnson. You can see right now he is shown in 16th position. Let's show you the graphic. He had another stop that was well below Stewart's.
How about Stewart's team stepping it up here under green? Comes in as a leader, 12.4 seconds. And Johnson's still struggling a little bit, 14 seconds.
Shown in 15th position right now on the racetrack. Not the kind of day that the 48 team was expecting, but right now There's your top 5 after 103 of 267 laps here at Kansas.
NASCAR Sprint Cup at Kansas is brought to you by Coca-Cola. Open a Coke and enjoy the race. Nationwide Insurance. Enter this code at codespotter.com for a chance to win a Roush Ford Mustang. And Chevrolet. Every model is backed by a 100,000-mile, 5-year powertrain limited warranty.
Great crowd on hand today on a beautiful autumn afternoon here at Kansas Speedway. As the race leader has cycled through, Patrick Carpentier has taken his pit stop. Tony Stewart's back in front. In fact, the top 9 spots are now held by Chase contenders. That's the first time we've seen that happen in the 3 Chase races so far. Behind Stewart, it's Biffle, Kenseth, Harvick, and Burton, your top 5. We talk about the 18 on pit stops. Let's go back and show you Kyle's role in all of this as we'll go on board coming in from Carl Edwards' view. Andy?
4,400 at that cone.
You've got these lines on pit road that you can only do so much. I mean, the NASCAR's regulating the speed through there, but outside those lines, nobody does a better job than Kyle Busch getting to pit road and getting back up to speed.
So you saw how much ground he picked up, and look at this. At the other end, his crew does the job. He gets out in front of Carl, and then, as soon as he hits that line, he gasses it again.
Man's in the gas all the time. That's what you got to do, and that's what having a good pit crew makes you do that as a driver, and it doesn't do you any good to have a great pit crew if you're not going to give it 100% all the time as a driver, too.
So he picks up 2 spots, courtesy of his aggressiveness and the combination of a good pit stop.
Well, the pit crew's done their job all year long. I mean, they have really been solid. We showed that. But beginning to show how the Gibbs cars, both of them, have the best average of 4-tire stops so far in the chase.
What I find interesting, as we mentioned, the top 9 are all chasers, but the guys that are top 2 in points, they are not in that group. Denny Hamlin is 16th. Jimmy Johnson is 13th. Let's take a look at the Fast 5 right now.
These are the fastest 5 last round of green flag stops. How about Scott Speed's team stepping it up too? Denny Hamlin, just like we said, those Gibbs cars, they really do a good job on pit road.
And Martin Truex, who finished 5th in yesterday's nationwide race. And this battle continues. And boy, the 33 of Clint Boyer, he is already 1 lap down in 31st position.
Man, he's just in the way right now.
Looking at the battle ahead, that is, of course, Jeff Gordon going after Kurt Busch. Here comes Jimmy Johnson trying to get back into this mix. He's now picked off Paul Menard, and he's looking for Casey Kane to pick up the 12th spot, and he does. Jamie, what's the latest on the 48?
Well, Jimmy Johnson has battled about 16 positions since 2 pit stops ago. They've made a lot of changes on this, and Andy, I know you've been watching the chassis adjustments they've been working on. Chad finally said, that's it, we're not making any more big swings at this. We should be good to the end. Now, Jimmy's saying that the last run, the car was more balanced. So, guys, don't give up hope on the 48 for you fans out there. He is moving forward. The car is getting better.
And as you finish up, we watch this side-by-side battle continue between Gordon and Busch.
Kurt Busch been hard to pass today. I saw Jeff Burton working on him right before that round of green flag stops, and he just could not get by him.
Yeah, and Jeff Gordon the last run, he lost a lot of time because their car just wasn't very good. They took the time on their pit stop to make some serious adjustments to make everything right. And it looks like they've got him back on track a lot faster here.
Well, let's find out. Let's talk about some of those changes over in the Crash from Tech Garage with Tim Brewer.
Thanks, guys. DJ's exactly right, because a team has to be 100%. Rather than a tire changer taking the spring rubber out and actually inserting it in the spring right here, these guys, they're a little bit sharper than that. What they do, they tie wrap a spring right here, spring rubber, and it's literally hanging. So all the guy has to do is just shove it in there, put the tire back on, and you're gone. It's all about saving just a little bit more time on pit road to give that driver a little bit more enthusiasm to get back to the front. Guys,
he's right there, because we used to try to put those spring rubbers in, and it took 2, 3, 4 seconds to get them in, minimum. We saw that one right there for Jeff Gordon. It took them just a split second. They made a 15-second 4-tire stop. I mean, it did cost them a little time, but it did change the car. It looks like it's going the right way now.
Well, and it looks like the Blue Deuce may be going the wrong way. Doc, what are you hearing?
Exactly, Marty, what Andy's talking about. And what you just saw from Tim Brewer a moment ago, what they're talking about with Kurt Busch, they're talking about a spring rubber now in the right rear, because the car is leaning over and just not using the right rear at all. And Kurt really saying, almost in a high-pitched voice, this car is loose, just hanging on. He's pretty much a victim out there as you watch him almost get past again for position. as there's a 33 car trying to go underneath him. You know what kind of day Clint Boyer is having, how much he is struggling, but a spring rubber, possibly right rear, to help fix the 2 car.
Well, and we talk about, look out who's getting ready to get lapped. Dale Earnhardt Jr. Here comes Tony Stewart Jr. right now, the last car on the lead lap in 25th position. And he is going 1 lap down. So now 24 cars and points as they look at right now. And right as it stands, 7 spots, now 6 out of the top 8 would change positions. As a lot of movement. And look how tight it gets all the way down to Tony Stewart. Everybody under 100 points after 3 races. And if you're fans of those drivers, that's exactly what you want to see at this stage. 119 are on the books here in Kansas.
Closing in on halfway in today's chase race number 3 for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Kansas Speedway. Don't forget tonight at 10 Eastern on ESPN2. It's NASCAR Now with a post-race wrap-up and our Monday roundtable with Ray Evernham, Ricky Craven, and Terry Blunt tomorrow 5 Eastern, ESPN2. Next weekend's action is from Southern California. The NASCAR Nationwide Series race Saturday 4 Eastern, ESPN2, and the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Pepsi Max 400 at 3 Eastern. We start with NASCAR Countdown at 2 Eastern over on ESPN2. That's next weekend from Southern California. Tony Stewart's lead on Greg Biffle is opened up now to 2.3 seconds. It was 1.6 after the stop. Rusty and Brad on NASCAR Countdown earlier today. We talked with Tony. We talked about a couple of the hiccups he's had in the first 2 chase races and whether he was out of it or not. And we said this was a good track for him to get back in it.
Yeah, this is a good track. We also said if he messes up here, he is probably out of it. But you talk about a rebound now. He was 162 points out of it going into this race. And, folks, right now he's only 82 points out of it. So he's made big gains. He's back in the championship hunt. He's looking good, and he's leading this race.
And another thing we had on NASCAR Countdown, Brad, was mistakes. Yeah. Seen a lot of them in the first 2 chase races. Very clean today.
Yeah, it looks like everybody's really on their P's and Q's, so to speak, especially on pit road, trying to make good, consistent stops, maintaining track position, getting those 4 tires instead of 2 so you can continue to get good grip throughout the day and keeping up with the racetrack. Everybody's doing a good job thus far.
Long green flag run we're in the middle of. We went back to green at lap 56. Let's go up to speed with Pepsi Max. Dr. Jerry Punch, what's our leader saying?
Well, guys, what you're talking about a moment ago, Tony Stewart and his entire team believe they are not out of this chase. I don't care where they are in the points. Tony's done a great job of being a cheerleader, being very, very positive as a driver and car owner. They came here, as I told you before, with the best car they had, their best bullet. They believe this is the car that will take them to victory lane. And also, by the way, Darian Grubson, we are now in a position where we are going to gamble, gamble, gamble. We need wins and top 5s to get back in this chase. Vince.
The second place car belongs to Greg Biffle. Biffle having a good run today. Says it's still a little bit too loose for comfort, but his lap times are still among the best. As far as this race car that they're running here today, it's a brand new car that they feel like has some different advantages for them, allows them to put a little more lead in it where they want it. They know that it's an uphill battle now as they came into this race 9th in points, 140 points out of the lead. They knew they had to have a big race today, and so far they're having it. The 29 car of Kevin Harvick is running in 3rd. Harvick says his is still a little bit free as well, but it's fast. We've seen him come all the way from a 24th starting position. Loves those green flag runs as we've documented, and he has driven it right to the front. Last week they had a piece on their chassis brake, and it cost them during the late stages of the race. But if they stay healthy today, looks like it's going to be a strong finish for the 29.
Dave, Matt Kenseth is now running 4th. He did not lose any positions on pit road, but how does he get back up to that leading position he had earlier? Well, right now the car for him is a little bit free, and it doesn't have any rear grip. Crew Chief Jimmy Fennig said, we're going to put that air back and drop your track bar next time. Right behind him, the 31 of Jeff Burton, who finished 2nd last week. I asked his crew chief, Todd Barrier, how that played forward to this week. And he said, man, at Dover, that is a track where you cannot lay down on any lap. You have to drive it all day long. And Jeff Burton showed us what he's made of last week with that finish. This weekend so far, very good for him. A little bit looser at the back of the car, a little bit tighter with the front of the car on this run. Jamie?
And behind him is Jeff Gordon. He qualified this car 3rd. He said he was so excited about that. It felt like he had the pull. So he led early laps here, but now he's been falling back. The car has been extremely loose. I talked to his ESPN's crew chief, Steve Letarte, this morning. He told me this racetrack in California next week, they must capitalize. If they want to stay in this chase hunt for the championship, they must perform well and finish in the top 3. They need to get this car tightened up before they can do that, Doc.
And behind him is Kyle Busch. We showed you a moment ago how aggressive Kyle Busch is on pit road attacking the pit stops. He had gained 2 spots on the previous pit stop. Kyle started 19th today and moving up to the top 10 and stayed there. After that last pit stop, Kyle said the car was good for 3 laps, and now it has gone away, so he's hanging on, but they can make some more adjustments. Remember, Kyle has never had a top 5 finish here. Behind him, it's his brother Kurt Busch, almost the same stats. They must be related somehow, because Kurt Busch has never had a top 5 finish here either. Right now, Kurt is struggling, talking about how the car will not use the right rear tire. We told you they're thinking about putting a spring rubber in and making a major air pressure adjustment the next time he comes in. And again, their design come out of here with a top 10 finish. Dave.
Hey, Doc, before that round of green flag pit stops, Carl Edwards was running 9th. He's running 9th now. The car really not going anywhere. Here's one clue as to why. Listen.
Yeah, it's just got a funny feeling like the left rear is not working, like it's shattering a little bit or something. Just a little different than normal there. Like it's wallowing around. Yeah.
Now, Bob told him to turn on the AC. I don't think that was for driver comfort. Let's go to Tim Brewer in the Craftsman Tech Garage. Tim, what happens when he turns on the AC to the left rear tire?
Tell you what, Dave, each car has fans and hoses going to each individual tire on the car. But what he can do is control the air pressure buildup by flipping the switch. He's got right front, right rear, left front. But by changing the springs rate of the tire, what you can do is turn the fan on, cooling the tire off, and that's going to change the air pressure. Now, if you want to tighten the car up, turn the fan off. It's going to increase the air pressure. But by turning it on, it's going to cool that tire off, decreasing the air pressure.
All right, thank you, Tim. And so there you see Carl Edwards. Top 10 is rounded out by Ryan Newman. And then we have a total now of just 22 cars on the lead lap. 5 are out, including Raines, McDowell, Labonte, Yaley, and Landon Castle. We're halfway here in Kansas. Welcome back to the Price Chopper 400 at Kansas, and make sure to go to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. Time for the AT&T Fastest Pit Crew of the Year award, and of course, take a look at your screen. You'll see who's actually leading right now with Jeff Gordon's number 24 team. You help determine the standings. Vote from your AT&T phone by texting the car number to 2258 for the pit crew you think is the fastest and the most valuable. And you're on board with Jimmy Johnson, who right now is running in the 12th position. Martin Truex right in front of him there. Truex, that is for the 11th spot. Ahead of Truex is Ryan Newman in 10th. And the top 9, all contenders in this year's chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Led by Tony Stewart, who has a 2.6-second lead over Greg Biffle. Good battle going on right now between Kevin Harvick and Greg Biffle. Harvick trying to take over that second spot.
Well, he just keeps chopping away. Very impressive, Kevin Harvick. His lap times, he's been somewhere 2 to 3 tenths faster than Greg Biffle and even Tony Stewart on a lot of laps.
It was about this part of the run, last run, where Jeff Burton actually had the fastest car. He caught this group. He caught Kevin Harvick, just about ran up to him, caught Kurt Busch. Looking at the lap times, Jeff Burton is the fastest car on the track right now.
Burton's about 1.5 seconds behind these two right here. Jeff running in the 5th spot, and there goes Biffle down low.
Yeah, that's what I said. This part of the run on the last green flag stretch, looks like Biffle's going to make a pit stop early here.
So on lap 144, Greg Biffle brings it to pit road. And he is the first of the front runners to make a pit stop. David Reagan right in front of him there. Let's send it to Vince.
Well, guys, give you an indication of how much they like their race car. There will be no adjustments on the 16 as Biffle brings it in. It's just going to be a 4-tire change. They discussed some changes during the course of the run when he thought maybe it was a little bit too free, but it started tightening up in the middle about 2/3 of the way through the run, so they're going to keep it where it is. A good clean stop for the 16. Dave Burns?
Martin Truex Jr. had been running 11th. Last time he was a little bit tight, so they took air pressure out of the right front tire. This time a little bit loose. Guess what they're going to do? Air pressure back in the right front tire, Vince.
Well, the 98 of Paul Menard has come in now. We've got the 17. We'll go back to, there's the 98 of Menard. They're going to make a wedge adjustment, also a rear air pressure adjustment. Car hitting the splitter and a little bit too loose. He's been searching for a faster groove as well, Doc.
And Kyle Busch said the car, actually the track is coming to him in the car. He told the crew chief, I don't know what I would change. Let's just put tires and gas in it and not change a thing. It's exactly what they're doing. Simple, uninvolved pit stop for Kyle Busch, and the car getting better and better as the race progresses. Jamie.
Jimmie Johnson's had his work cut out for him, as well as his pit crew today. Many adjustments. He said that last stop and round of adjustments did not tighten him up. 4 tires fill up. You see the wrench in the back window, another chassis adjustment, putting the Sunoco fuel in. The car continues to get better, Doc.
Smoke, Tony Stewart, our leader in, no adjustments, 4 tires, and topping it off with Sunoco. Car couldn't be better, according to Tony.
13-second pit stop. There you see Jeff Gordon's crew. They're over onto the left side. Carl Edwards also in. He's just finished his service, going back out. Denny Hamlin right there in front. Here comes Gordon out. And Harvick at the top of your screen. Vince, yours.
Kevin Harvick lost 3 positions last race with a 15th place finish at Dover. They know they're better than that, and they were here to prove it today. So far, so good. They've been splendid on the long runs. He says it's just a little bit too free, but they feel like it just keeps getting better and better. They're going to make a slight air pressure adjustment with a 4-tire change.
Hamlin's in and out just as quickly. Jeff Burton right now is your race leader. Dave, he's coming in.
That's good for 5 points, Marty. Before that start of the green flag stops there, he was running 5th. He said his car is looser in the back. It is tighter in the front, so they're going to make adjustments to try to help Jeff do that as he continues to work traffic here at Kansas Speedway. Doc?
Kurt Busch, we told you he was loose. They said no time now to put a spring rubber in the right rear. They're just going to add wedge and try to have him deal with it until they can get a pit stop under the yellow and take time to put the spring rubber in. 4 tires and fuel for Kurt Busch.
So the Blue Deuce back out onto the track. Jeff Burton also pulling out on pit road, and whew, that was quick. Everybody's left. All right, let's check now. It is a 8-second lead from Tony Stewart back to Greg Biffle. Give you an idea how big 8 seconds looks on this racetrack. Now, we got to wait. Let's wait. We had to wait for NASCAR scoring to recycle. That will be the thing. So let's correct ourselves right there as they come across the stripe this time. Now it's going to be, and it's going to be a lot closer. How about half a second, because there's Biffle.
Yeah, I thought I saw him right behind Tony Stewart.
Every now and then, you know, the scoring sort of plays a trick on us till we get everybody cycled through. Electronics are great when you remember you got to wait 1 lap.
Yeah, Denny Hamlin right there in the left car is about to go a lap down.
Yeah, this is a big problem for Denny. He does not want to have that happen. Right now, he would fall out of the point lead, and Kevin Harvick, if things were to end just the way they are, would regain that lead. This is getting interesting because we've got 10 people, 11 under 100 points. Under our third caution here at Kansas Speedway, the 00 of David Rudiman, contact with the 18 of Kyle Busch. If you remember earlier in the race, Kyle tapped the back of Rudiman, and we're sort of wondering, is this payback? Take a look.
It sure looks like turn 2 right here.
Yep. Rudiman got the worst of it, but Kyle did get some damage on that left rear.
Yeah, I think he probably has a little bit of damage on the right rear also, where he might have got that into the wall.
Now let's go back to lap 52, because this is the contact. Watch the bumper right there. And that turned Rudiman.
Yeah, that's very unintentional there, Kyle. But yeah, as a driver, you don't know that and don't look at it like that. You always wonder why he's running into the back of you.
On board with Kyle.
Still there. He wrecked himself. Keep coming. There will be a caution. Not yet, though. Keep coming.
Now the question is, how much damage on Kyle? Let's listen in.
It's killed. The car is destroyed. My steering wheel knocked a quarter of the turn off. He bent the rear end housing. He bent the truck arm. He bent everything.
Yeah, that's not good. When he knows by that position of that steering wheel, how that rear end is towed, and he feels like he's got something bent because of that position. You can see damage is on that right rear and the left rear. That was a pretty hard leg.
One more look. This from the rear.
Oh, yeah. Well, he did hit that wall on the outside, too.
And Kyle would be the point leader if he would have just maintained that position, but that's why we keep running the laps. Dave?
Matt Kent is still a little loose. He said, especially when I lay the wood to it, when it really bites into that throttle pedal. 2 tires for Kenton and gone. Doc.
Top of your screen, Tony Stewart coming in again. They'll be just topping it off with fuel. Tony Stewart, Vince.
The 16 of Greg Biffle, they took 2 tires and around a wedge in the left side. Jamie.
Jeff Gordon wants more rear grip. He said, I need more of that. A track bar adjustment. Perhaps no, it was right side call only for the 24 to get some more track position here.
Longhorn Steakhouse race off pit road. You see the guys that decided to take no tires, and even those that took 2 managed to maintain spots. Menard picks up 2, and you're saying, where's Kevin Harvick? He stayed out onto the racetrack. And there he is.
We hadn't talked, but that was a huge break for Denny Hamlin. He was just a couple of car lengths from getting lapped. He stayed on the lead lap, so they'll be able to adjust that car and see if they can make it better than running back around the 18th, 19th spot like they were.
Well, and right before the caution, all top 10 positions were held by Chase contenders.
Now, one reason everybody pitted right there, even though they had just taken tires, is this puts them in a window where they can make it on one more stop.
And there's the damage that they are working on Kyle Busch. Remember, he has not had a top 5 ever here at Kansas.
Middle of 3 and 4. Okay, get that tape up good. We'll let them go. We'll come back and we'll get our 4 tires and fuel. Coming off 4. Gonna wrap her up. All right, go get caught up, bud. We're okay.
All right, so Kyle's going to obviously go back around. He'll come back in for more service. Our lucky dog from Aaron's is going to go to the 6 of David Reagan. So Reagan gets back on the lead lap. That'll give us a total right now of 22 cars on the lead lap here at Kansas. "22 cars on the lead lap. Kyle Busch, the last of that 22. Up front, Kevin Harvick, Mark Martin, and Ryan Newman. Those 3 decided to stay out. The last time they pitted was on lap 145 or lap 147, depending on which car. Everybody else has come in now on lap 156. Behind those 3, it's Tony Stewart, Greg Biffle, Kenseth, Burton, Jeff Gordon, Edwards, Kurt Busch, Jimmy Johnson through the top 11. Pace car getting ready to pull down as we're getting ready to go back to green flag racing. We've had a total of 3 cautions now, 8 different leaders, 13 lead changes, and still only those 5 cars out of the race that we told you about earlier. Green flag flies. Kevin Harvick on the gas.
Talk about Mark Martin up there in that 2nd spot right now. Comes from the rear after an engine change.
3 wide, further back. Everybody hanging on so far.
That's the key word. We got guys here with full tanks of fuel and either 2 tires or no tires. Well, make for a handful.
Well, it wasn't that many laps ago that they pitted under green, so there's not a lot of laps. I think about 8 green flag laps is all the cars that just took fuel have on them, so shouldn't be too bad. And we saw some people take 2 tires the last time they did that, and the 2 tires really weren't that great.
That was Ruderman coming back out on the track. You saw very slowly there. He is 9 laps down. That's Greg Biffle going underneath Ryan Newman for the 5th spot. Looking to get past Mark Martin, who's been passed by Matt Kenseth. Tony Stewart's also gotten around. And there's Jeff Gordon side by side with Newman. Those 2 still after each other. Right behind them is Carl Edwards. Here comes Biffle taking a look on the inside of the 5 of Mark Martin. Move Biffle up into the 4th spot. His next target will be Matt Kenseth.
See Gordon still having a trouble getting around Ryan Newman. Just a little too loose to make that bottom side work. Here comes Carl Edwards to the inside. See if he can make that work.
Look who else is sneaking in there, the 48. Let's get an update from pit road. Dave Burns.
The 39 of Ryan Newman had to stay out, Marty, during that last round of green flag pit stops. When he came to pit road on lap 145, he was out of gas. They lost lots of positions. This was their only play.
Probably a good gamble. I mean, likely we're going to have another caution before the end of the race, and all that did for the other cars is put them in a window where they could make it on one more stop should it go green to the end.
Let's check back in with Kevin Harvick. The tires doing okay right now as he has got a 0.6 of a second lead over Tony Stewart. Now, Kevin had his own observations over what happened between the 00 and the 18 of Kyle Busch.
Oh, came up into the 18. I believe that was a payback. Tear the 18 up. He hit it pretty good in the left rear, knocked him in the wall a little bit. I'm looking here. He did a good job. I mean, it was great acting.
Trouble. Got
Casey
trouble.
Kane. Right side looks all right.
Into the wall. Turn number 4. Casey Kane, our pole sitter. He has got the right side of that Budweiser Ford. Coming out of turn number 4.
Got the right rear corner pretty good.
Turn 4 has been, oh, now he's just shredded the left front. So it's gone from bad to worse. And turn 4 has been the problem for everybody, it seems, even through yesterday's practice sessions. He was running 17th.
Come apart on it, guys.
Yeah, the whole car is going to come apart. If that right front blows out, he's going to blow the whole front end off. This is a devastating blow for the 9 team after having such a great qualifying run.
Go to the garage here. We're going to have to fix it in the garage.
All right, let's go back and show you what happened to Casey.
Yeah, just same thing. Just got sideways up.
Front tire blew out then. Had it locked up. That's where it went flat. See, he's just going across those seams, and he's trying to stay powered up, but as he got to the top seam there.
Brad Keselowski does a nice job getting under it. Also, Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Yeah, Kyle Busch was back in that too.
Clear, all clear. Rebel, stay low, all clear, no caution.
We'll see how close it was for Jr.
43, that's 43 there. Spin in front of you, go low, one inside, caution is out.
Let's get an update from Jamie Little.
Well, guys, before that incident happened, Casey Kane has been complaining most of this race about how bad his race car is bouncing around. A couple of times he even said, I'm bouncing so much, I'm almost bouncing into the wall, and he's getting extremely loose, guys. So I imagine that has been the culprit here as he goes back into the garage.
Yeah. Problem is the wall bounces back, and it's a lot harder. And a bad day now for Casey Kane. All right, we were talking about Kyle Busch when this 4th caution came out. You heard Kevin Harvick's comments. How about listening in on the 18 of Kyle Busch?
I have a serious problem with what just happened. And I don't think anybody in the tower is going to do a damn thing about it. And if they don't, then we'll have a meeting afterwards.
We're just focused on our stuff here. We're getting the best we can. The crew chief told them they better start wrecking people or you'd quit. So there's a big problem. But all we can do is control what we can control at this point.
Well, that's the conversation in Kyle Busch's pits, and now Kyle back on pit road. Here's what they're going to try to do. Now, Dave Rogers gave Kyle the option. We can go to the garage area and replace the rear end housing. We'll lose maybe 30 to 40 laps. Or you can come on the pit road. We'll put jack stands under, which is what they're doing right now. We're going to lengthen the trailing arm, lengthen the track bar in the back of the car, and try to get it as close as we can. Now, it's still not going to be good. He said if you limp around here, we come on and off pit road 3 or 4 times, we may lose 5 laps. That would minimize our points loss here in the chase. So right now they're going to try to fix it as best they can by lengthening the trailing arm, putting him back on the racetrack, guys, and hope he can limp around and maybe stay as close as he can to the top 20.
Well, Doc, I was watching his lap times, and they weren't terrible. I mean, he wasn't good, but it wasn't terrible. I don't think he would lose 5 laps if he just kept running. So they need to try to do this without losing a lap.
He actually picked up 3 spots before the second caution came out here.
Yeah, that's a pretty hard lick, and I'm sure it bent the track bar because that track bar actually, from that direction, the way it was hit in the left rear, would try to buckle because that's in compression, and it would try to bend that track bar.
And we mentioned David Rudiman is now 10 laps down. He is back out on the track, shown in 37th position. Sam Hornish Jr. is also back out. He's 20 laps down in 38th. Anybody going to take this time by? Pit road is open.
Yeah, here comes the 31.
Yep. And the 99 of Carl Edwards is coming. Several others following behind. So we're going to see what fresh tires are going to do for these cars, Dave.
31 talked about 2 tires. 99 of Carl Edwards may take no tires and fuel only. No, they're going to go to the right side of the 99 as well. So far for the 31, 2 tires, and Jeff is gone. 99 leaves as well. Jamie?
And the 11 of Denny Hamlin is in, and I believe the 48 is coming as well. Remember, Denny Hamlin just struggling. Right sides is the call here, saying the speed is just not there. This car has been terribly loose the entire race, been floating back there in the 19-20 position, and he is clear. 48 did stay out. The 24 out of miscommunication. They told him to come. He stayed out. He thought that's what they wanted.
Well, we're going to find out just how good two tires are going to be, because Jeff Burton and Carl Edwards, two cars that have been running up in the top 10. We'll find out how it turns out when we come back to Kansas.
Time for our Dodge race rundown. What's happened so far? Point counterpoint's been a story so far in the early going.
Kyle Busch gets in the back of David Rudiman, spins him, and boy, Rudiman is flat hot right now. No doubt about that.
So
take a look at this.
Back out a while later.
Yeah.
A little bit of time for payback, it looks like. Dave gets up, gets into the left rear of Kyle. Dave ends up spinning himself out, but I think the damage was done.
Kyle was running 7th at the time. We have seen some strategy with a series of rapid mid-race cautions here.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of guys short stopping also, too. These guys can actually run about 5 laps longer on fuel, at least Greg Biffle could. He stopped early to get that track position, get those fresh tires, and keep that car running fast.
Got guys on all kind of different pit schedules here out on the racetrack now. Some of the championship chasers. Jimmy Johnson, been kind of way back in the pack for a lot of the racing scrambling.
Well, he really has. He's been mired back in that back of the pack and then running really well once he gets up to speed, but he's going to have to race hard all day long.
And some of the guys at the bottom of the standings who we said on Countdown must have a good race today. Well, let's see. That's Tony Stewart and Matt Kenseth fighting for the lead earlier. We've seen Greg Biffle now currently in the top 5.
These guys know they've got to get it done. They can't get too far behind, and they are taking advantage of it today. They are getting it. Let's take a look at his payback one more time. Wham! Right in the back of Kyle Busch. Tears up his trailing arms. His car's not handling good now.
Right in that left rear tire too, Rusty. You know that can bend an axle, do a lot of damage.
Now, I know we mentioned that David Rudiman is 10 laps down. None of those are because of penalty. NASCAR has not penalized the 00 car. And Kyle Busch still on the racetrack, still on the lead lap. He's in 22nd spot as we go back to green.
Remember Kevin Harvick, the one guy that stayed out so far. He's holding on to the top spot, but Tony Stewart, here he comes down the backstretch.
Well, Stewart doesn't have a tire advantage. He only took fuel when he pitted last, but he has had the best car all day.
Log jam behind him. 43 of Allmendinger, little contact with the 42 of Montoya, and now all of a sudden Harvick surrenders not only the top spot but several others further back on the left side of your screen. 3 wide again. They're down on the apron.
Yeah, I don't think a short run's the best for Kevin Harvick. Looks like his car is having a hard time getting up to speed. These guys are racing hard back here for this spot.
Right side of your screen, Tony Stewart. He's now led more laps today than in his previous 9 Kansas starts. Here comes Kenseth on the right side, taking a peek under Harvick. That is for 3rd on the right side. On the left side, there is your race lead. That's Greg Biffle and Tony Stewart. 2 of the guys that we talked about that had to have good runs today are getting the results with 95 laps to go. Right behind there, you see the battle between Harvick, Kenseth, Newman, and Mark Martin is in this mix as well.
Jeff Burton right there. He took 2 tires the last stop. He has the freshest tires of this group.
On the left side, you've got Denny Hamlin. We go on board. That's Jeff Gordon and Joey Logano right behind him as well. That is for 11th, 12th, 13th on the track. Kurt Busch side by side with the 20.
Yeah, this is the best running position for Denny Hamlin all day long. See if he can hold it up there. Kurt Busch trying to make something happen here. Hasn't been very happy with his race car.
Kurt has had the best season on the 1.5 miles, but he's never had a great deal of success here at Kansas in the past. He's never even had a top 5. Let's get more on the 2, Doc.
Well, the misfortune for Kyle Busch was actually good fortune for Kurt Busch, because on this last yellow flag stop, they were able to have enough time to put that spring rubber in the right rear of the 2 car and take all that wedge back out. And we're going to see if that'll really help the 2 car or not.
And as Kurt Busch collects his race car off that corner, right ahead of him, the 20 car of Joey Logano started up front today, has been battling a loose car most of the day, but in that last one, a little bit tight in the center. 2 tire stop, a little bit up on the track bar,
apron as well, Dave, as he's still got a handful of Jeff Gordon. One piece of business we never got to as the restart happened. Brad Keselowski got the dog. He is 22nd, the last car on the lead lap. Logano and Gordon still going after each other. Kurt Busch would like to find an opening. If he has a run on Logano now, he's going to have to check up.
You can see Logano get just a little bit loose there right in the center of the corner on the inside of Jeff Gordon. That opens the door for Kurt Busch.
Busch now side by side with Joey. The 56 of Martin Truex Jr. right behind the number 2.
See just how difficult it is to make a pass down on the bottom side of the racetrack right now.
Let's sneak up on, check on the 11 of Denny Hamlin. Remember, you pointed it out right when that caution came out. He was on the verge of going one lap down. Right now, Denny Hamlin is back in the 10th position. He was 21st on lap 155. Jamie?
Marty, he has been extremely loose, but on the last round of stops, they didn't make any changes. They took right sides only, and all of a sudden, that mental toughness we've been hearing about with Denny Hamlin kicked in. He said, guys, we're going to make something out of this day, and sure enough, he is just picking them off. That car is the best it has been all day, guys. I wonder how much of it is really to do with upstairs.
Thank you, Jamie. Let's also check in on another guy that's creeping his way back into the battle, and that is the 48 of Jimmy Johnson. Started 21st. He now finds himself inside the top 10, running 8th, just ahead of Carl Edwards and behind Mark Martin. Remember Jeff Burton, one of those cars that took 2 tires? Let's check in on his progress. He's running 5th, and he's got Matt Kenseth in his sights.
Like I said, he has the freshest tires. He made a pit stop under that last caution where all of these other leaders stayed out. He only took right sides, but it's working for him.
Yeah, and I think this will really show up as they get some more laps on these tires. Not necessarily on his, but on these other guys as they start to really fall off. Jeff Burton should come on. That's been his strong suit anyway.
Let's get an update on the 17 from Dave Burns.
And actually, Marty, as the 31 darts to the inside and tries to take that position, as you said, he took 2 tires and he restarted 10th, so he's making his way forward with that fresh rubber. Matt Kenseth, on the other hand, he may be able to make it on one more stop. Just prior to this caution, crew chief Jimmy Fennig told Matt, save gas. If you save gas and you have a well-balanced race car, which Matt does today, you can make hay out of that staying out thing. We'll see how it works out.
Well, that's going to be an interesting strategy because we've got 87 laps to go. How about a shout out for Mark Martin? Here he comes again. Biggest mover, started 40th, and here he is running 7th, just 4.8 seconds behind our race leader of Tony Stewart.
Well, Mark's done a really good job. A very disappointing season for this race team, but they're trying to make the most of these last 8 races. Doing a very nice job here today.
Jimmy Johnson's got his hands full all of a sudden. The 99 of Carl Edwards. We go on board. While we ride along with Carl, let's talk about our Gillette Pro Glide profile because Carl's turning skeptics into believers at Kansas. You can see where he started, where he's finished, and right now he qualified 31st this year and finds himself running 9th with still 85 laps to go.
He might like to see it rain qualifying out one time out here where he can start up towards the front.
Well, it has been an interesting race, to say the least. As we talk about those guys in the top 10, it is Tony Stewart up front. And an update on Kyle Busch, he's running in the 22nd spot. He's 16 seconds behind, but he's still on the lead lap here at Kansas. Back here at Kansas Speedway, we're under our 5th caution as the number 7 of Kevin Conway has blown up. Big puff of smoke, and he is limping around. And take a look, you'll just be able to tell. There it goes.
Something important in that engine broke.
And he did the right thing. He quickly got down on the apron. But we are under our 5th caution. And guess who this benefits, guys? Remember when Clint Boyer was mired back in around 31st spot? Through this previous caution, he got back into the lucky dog position. And now with this caution, Boyer will be back on the lead lap. All right, let's get an update as we head for pit road. Dave?
Matt Kenseth will get 4. I don't believe he can save fuel from here, so we'll probably see him one more time. I don't know. Just an air pressure adjustment for Matt. Little loose race car. Doc?
Tony Stewart said, how do you feel about 2 tires? Arian said, no, let's go 4. 4 tires, half around left rear, trying to help the entry. Vince.
4 tires, air pressure adjustment, and a half round of wedge in that left rear for Greg Biffle. The bottom of the screen is Kevin Harvick. He likes his car, says, let's change all 4 tires, but no changes for Harvick. He did say that upper line on the restart wasn't the way to go for him.
And look at the 1 car of Jamie McMurray on the race off pit road as he picks up 10 positions with 2 tires. So does Paul Menard, picking up 14. Greg Biffle loses a spot. Tony loses 4. So interesting strategy. And the 2 tires didn't seem to work very well for Jeff Burton.
They'll definitely not work as well now because everybody has 4 tires. I think that might be a mistake for McMurray and Menard. I think they'll lose more spots than they gain right there.
For Jamie McMurray, and we'll talk more about that in a second. Let's revisit the AT&T Fastest Pit Crew of the Year award. The pit crew is determined by winner of each race, the fastest pit time, and your vote. Be sure to text the car number to 2258 for your pit crew choice. Jamie McMurray's car owner, Chip Ganassi, collected another championship last night as his driver Dario Franchitti won the IndyCar Series championship. He also has the Grand Am championship, and of course Jamie won at the Brickyard and Daytona. Not a bad year for Chip Ganassi. Congratulations to everybody. Oh, by the way, Danica Patrick finished 2nd in that race. She'll be racing in Nationwide next week. Back here at Kansas Speedway, we'll tell you quickly, Marcus Ambrose behind the wall. They look to have an engine problem. They cannot get it to fire. He has 8 DNFs coming into this race. Our race leader right now is shown as Jamie McMurray. Let's talk to our in-race reporter.
Hey, Carl, Dale Jarrett, you got us?
Go green the whole way. I got you, Dale.
Hey, man, we've been listening to some of your radio conversations from earlier. It sounded like you were having a little bit of a handling issue. Got that fixed and ready to go to the front?
I think so. Bob's been working on it. We had a real good pit stop there. My guys did a good job. And now we just got to be tight enough. You know, it's just real loose. So hopefully this thing will, you know, have a little bit of rear grip and I can get the throttle down and run some of these guys down.
Carl, we've watched a lot of guys slipping and sliding around here. Is the grip level out there down pretty far?
Yeah, you could say that. I mean, it's slippery. That's part of what makes it fun, though. I mean, it's a big, wide racetrack. It's got a couple little bumps in it, so it gives it a little character. And when you drive down the corner, you know, you got to have your elbows up, make sure you're ready to correct, because every once in a while it'll pitch sideways. So I think that's fun, but we're trying to minimize it so we can go get some of these guys that are having trouble.
All right, man, you go get them. This great crowd we got here is looking forward to seeing that.
Thanks a lot, Dale. I appreciate it.
Carl right now running in the 8th position. As we mentioned, Jamie McMurray is the race leader with Paul Menard running 2nd. And we've had a total of 10 different leaders today with 16 lead changes. What are the records? 14 and 26 set last year.
Started the day 3rd in the championship here at Kansas Speedway. Sprint brings you an inside look at the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup on the Now Network. I've been fascinated ever since that happened, listening to the 18 teams' radio communication as they've tried to get this car back to top speed.
All the damage is on the left. I didn't touch the wall. The guy drove into me. Guys, there's a gap on the deck lid on the right side. Let's not just be pulling it out to pull it out. Let's make sure we're doing it. Don't get carried away, guys. What's that toe look like? Toe's fine, Dave. It's only showing the 16th about what we showed in the garage area when we checked it before we first got here. All right, let's go see where made of. If there's anybody in the garage area, get the rear end housing ready, get the truck arms ready. Well, I bet you we're going to be going that way. Maybe on damage control, bud. You know we're going to go several laps down if we change that housing. Even if we got to limp around and go 5 laps down or 10 laps down, we'll still have a better point stay. It feels like it's got 20 inches of truck arm split. That's what it feels like.
For more NASCAR stats, in-car audio, and live race radio, check out NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile at sprint.com/speed. With Rusty and Brad, you heard all the emotions there, from the frustration at the wreck for Kyle Busch to that calming and trying to help his crew chief diagnose what they can do to this car to salvage the best finish they can.
Well, that was some great conversations between the crew chief and the driver. There was no doubt about that. Kyle Busch actually was a little upset, and Dave calmed him back down and said, hey, we're going to lose big time. Now, he said he feels like the truck arms are split like 20 inches. And when a driver splits the trailer arms a lot, it makes the car very, very loose, makes it real turny. So obviously, he was big time on the loose side, and they're trying to undo that feel for him and get it back right.
Well, it sounds like the car, he's talking about the toe, is not that far out of whack. It sounds like the car is relatively square. So maybe Kyle and Dave Rogers can use this opportunity to really focus on this race car, focus on what they've got to do, and get themselves a decent finish that'll help them in the points as we go forward.
Kyle Busch again running back in 21st position as we get set for a restart with 72 laps to go. Reminder that Monday Night Football continues with a battle between AFC East rivals as Tom Brady, Randy Moss, and the Patriots head to Miami to face Brandon Marshall and the Dolphins. It's Patriots-Dolphins on ESPN's Monday Night Football at 8:30 Eastern. Coverage begins at 7 Eastern with Monday Night Countdown served by Applebee's. The Pats and the Finns both at 2-1. Probably looking to keep up with the Jets after they've played Buffalo on this Sunday. And we'll see how that one goes on Monday Night Football. So a little strategy here has shuffled the deck at the front of the field as we get set for a restart with what'll be 72 laps to go. Upstairs to Marty Reed, Dale Jarrett, and Andy Petrie.
Thank you, Alan. 7 waiver rounds. Dale Earnhardt Jr., Regan Smith, Casey Mears, Patrick Carpentier, Bill Elliott, Travis Quapple, and David Gilliland. So as we get ready, let's reset it for you. It'll be McMurray up front along with Menard. Then Biffle and Kenseth in row 2. Stewart Harvick row 3. Row 4 is Newman and Edwards. And row 5, Jeff Burton and Jimmy Johnson. Coming down to the start with this great crowd here at Kansas on their feet again. And we're back to racing.
From that high shot, you can see Jeff Burton having a hard time getting going. Looked like Denny Hamlin was going to try to pass him on the apron.
Tony Stewart side by side with the 48 right there. Jimmy Johnson, and Johnson's on the move.
Yeah, he's going to see if there's adjustments. He's made it work. And see, Paul Menard shot out of turn 2, took the lead. He's got about a 5-car lead now.
So all of a sudden, you've got Menard up front, Kenseth, McMurray, Biffle, Edwards. That's your top 5.
Ooh, I saw Jimmy Johnson back in his car hanging out. Tony Stewart helped it get even looser yet.
Now the 39 alongside of Jimmy. Here comes Jeff Gordon. Gordon has to back out for a moment. Newman now pulls up in front of the 48, and it allows Kurt Busch to get underneath the 24.
Yeah, it looks like Gordon just lost the front end of his car when he went into that corner a little bit. Had to stay out of the gas a long time. That allowed Kurt Busch to get up the side.
There's Jeff Burton right behind the 2-car, and Denny Hamlin right behind that. So you're looking at 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th place.
You know, I said something about those 2 tires. Paul Menard just ran the second fastest lap of the race on 2 tires. So that clean air might be worth more than 4 tires.
Paul Menard has stretched the lead now to 0.7 of a second. And in the top 5 right now, you've got 3 Roush Fenway Racing machines. And drivers from that team have only won twice in the last 62 races. They got a good shot at maybe making it 3 today.
Well, Paul Menard and his race team have really shown a lot of improvement this last half of the season. See battle here, Jimmy Johnson trying to work around Ryan Newman.
That is for 8th place on the racetrack. You know, you mentioned Menard. There he was on the left side. Only the 3rd race in 2010 that he's led. The first time ever here at Kansas. And we're still focusing on this side-by-side battle as Newman is racing Jimmy a lot harder than he raced Tony Stewart a little bit earlier. On the left side of your screen, how about we've got A.J. Allmendinger, Joey Logano, and Scott Speed. That is all for the 16th spot. It was a lot closer. Now it's starting to stretch out a little bit. Let's get an update on that 82 of Scott Speed. David?
And it's a good story, Marty, because all day long they fought a tight race car until finally they got it to the loose side. It's something Scott could really make some time with. So it's another one of those situations where a crew works all day long to fix a race car that a driver can then take as far forward as they can.
Going down the backstretch, Gordon got a little loose right there, and there comes Hamlin looking underneath.
Yeah, Gordon seems to really be struggling with this set of tires that they have on the car right now.
Remember, Jeff led 29 laps early in this race. The most have been led by Tony Stewart. We have 66 laps remaining, so the bonus points still up for grabs. Although it looks like Tony is going to be the one to take those bonus points. On the right side, Jamie McMurray side by side with the 29 of Kevin Harvick. That is for 5th on the racetrack. On the left, the battle for 11th continues.
Yeah, right in front of these guys, Kurt Busch had his car completely sideways coming off of 4 last lap.
Check in on the battle for 2nd place because Matt Kenseth and his teammate Greg Biffle running nose to tail.
2 tires holding up really good. I mean, look at McMurray now trying to hold off Harvick. He's going to give up that spot, but I'm pretty impressed how they've held up. Paul Menard is still flying. He's got a almost 3/4 second lead.
I think the key is that we haven't seen anybody with 2 tires be totally out front and getting that clean air, which seems to make a big difference.
Just what I was going to point out, because that was the very same thing that you guys were talking about in the pre-race, that the track position, so critical if you had the clean air.
Yeah, we saw last year Tony Stewart took 2 tires last stop to win the race.
And you can bet all these other crew chiefs are paying attention right
they
there.
are. I'll tell you they are.
Side by side again. Here goes Denny Hamlin along with the 24 Jeff Gordon. While all this goes on, let's check in on pit road. Dave Burns.
Guys, not sure which car you were talking about right now, but as we see Kansas winding down here, the 17 of Matt Kenseth is one of the better stories today. Talking with crew chief Jimmy Fennig this morning, talked to him about the fact that as Biffle now works to the inside of Kenseth, the gains that Roush Fenway Racing have been making this year. I was asked Jimmy if it was fun, and he said, you know what? Yes, it is for me because of the way we're moving forward. And Carl has done very well the last few races, and this is the race, as we noted earlier, Matt really needed to show up.
Well, you have got Ford running in the top 4 positions right now. Menard, Biffle, Kenseth, and Edwards. And then it's all Chevrolets from 5th on down through 9th. Keep your eyes on Jimmy Johnson because he is closing on and still battling with Ryan Newman. That is for 8th on the racetrack, and he's got the spot. Setting sail now for Jamie McMurray. What this all means with the points obviously is Jimmy Johnson back in good position, although right now Denny Hamlin would still be the points leader, but Greg Biffle is closing on the overall race lead. A lot of guys are making some moves here today in the Chase Championship, and here goes Menard. Biffle all over him. Menard takes the low line, trying to force Biffle to go high.
Well, Biffle got by Matt Kenseth. He just took off.
I don't think
he's making that middle lane really work.
I don't think Greg cares which lane it is.
Yeah, it didn't matter. Biffle is now going to be the race leader. That'll give us our 12th different leader, and it is our 17th lead change with 61 laps to go. There's your top 5, and Greg Biffle looking to make a big move in the chase for the Sprint Cup Championship.
Cup of Kansas is brought to you by Ford. Drive one. Pepsi Max. Tune into the Pepsi Max 400 on October 10th for your chance to win one of 400 prizes and 400 miles. And Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. Go to Goodyear.com to learn more.
Kansas City in the background. What's better than 400 miles at the Auto Club Speedway in Fontana? Well, the chance to win 400 prizes in 400 miles in California. Tune in to ESPN October 10th to catch Pepsi Max 400. Pepsi Max will be giving away 400 prizes in 400 miles. I still won't win any of them, I guarantee you. Kevin Harvick on the move again. He's into the top 5 right behind Carl Edwards. Right now, Greg Biffle is your race leader. Paul Menard is hanging on to 2nd place, but 1.3 seconds behind. And as you look at Biffle, we've been scanning the basic scoreboard. 2 guys that are way back, but have made moves. Clint Boyer, remember he got the lucky dog? He has fought his way back up to 17th. And Kyle Busch is still running 21st, so that strategy by Dave Rogers paying off.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's just trying to get Kyle calmed down. It was absolutely the thing to do to try to stay on the lead lap. Just make do with what you have because it's not that bad. I mean, it's not good, but it's not that bad.
You can see him really fighting the steering wheel there, but he has managed to stay on the lead lap. Here's Harvick trying to get his car headed back towards the front. He and Tony Stewart looked like they were going to kind of settle this between themselves, but they've kind of gotten mired back after those last pit stops.
Harvick wants that 4th position from Carl Edwards. Carl doing all he can to hang on to it. Still side by side as they come across the stripe. 52 laps remaining here at Kansas.
And you're at the point of the race now. If this were back earlier towards the midway point, then Carl might say, okay, Kevin, you've taught me, go ahead. But we're at time now that all of these positions make a big difference.
I'm still really impressed with the way those two tires are running on Paul Menard's car and Jamie McMurray's, for that matter. McMurray has not held up nearly as well. He's 10th, but it's still a decent gamble for him.
Tony Stewart right there. Let's check in on Mark Martin, because Mark's got a great day going as he's 13th right now, trying to get around Kurt Busch for 12th. Let's get an update from Dave Burns.
Well, Marty, for folks that missed the start of the weekend, it didn't go well for Mark. When he took his qualifying run on Friday, he hadn't spent a single lap on the track. That's because when he pulled out for the first practice, the fuel pump drive broke on the car, and they didn't get that first practice in at all. He relied on experience, qualified 28th, and they worked on Saturday's practice to get this car race ready. But still, he had to come from the back and work his way toward the front. Big recovery this weekend.
And if you remember, they had to do the same thing last week at Dover after a shock had too much pressure. Now, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is in, Doc.
Yeah, he'd stayed out on the previous caution flag, opting to stay on the racetrack, hoping for another yellow, maybe to be able to get a lap back. He comes in. Now, this is a cycling in pit stop, 4 tires adjustment. They have changed everything on the car with the number. It's gotten better, but they are behind.
And they took the wave around on that last go-round, and that, put them where they had to make this pit stop. They were gambling on a caution before now.
While he comes back out on the track, Tony Stewart continues to get a little bit closer to Kevin Harvick in that battle for the 5th spot.
Yeah, Harvick was up there battling, trying to pass Carl Edwards just 2 laps ago. Now he's falling back from that, and Tony Stewart is trying to make a charge.
And ever lurking, the 48 right behind of Jimmy Johnson. There you see from Carl Edwards on the left of the screen to Jimmy, and Jimmy's closing quickly. Points as of right now, you see that Denny and Jimmy would be 1-2 again, but the gap would be narrowed. Harvick and Edwards would pick up a spot. Kurt Busch would lose a spot. Jeff Gordon would pick up 2. But the real interesting part, guys, is that you look further down, the top 9 would be 87 points or less. That is close coming out of Kansas.
Yeah, it really is, and was going to be a lot more so until Denny Hamlin got a real break when he was about to go a lap down. That's whenever David Rudman got into Denny's teammate, Kyle Busch, and created that caution. Cost Kyle a lot of points, but created a better situation for Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, he's back to the 11th spot, and you were saying maybe Hamlin ought to send Rudman a gift?
Well,
at least a big Christmas present,
He's
right?
made one of the Joe Gibbs drivers pretty happy today, and the other one extremely mad, I would say. Hamlin has moved in the top 10 now.
See Harvick getting underneath Carl Edwards now on the right side of your screen, the battle for 4th. Hamlin gets around of McMurray, and then a little bit further behind them, you've got the 2. The blue deuce of Kurt Busch, and alongside is Mark Martin. Mark trying to take the spot away.
He's been trying there for about 3 laps to get that spot, but just can't seem to get the run off the corner he needs to get by Kurt Busch.
You're not missing anything up front. This is the best action we've got going right now. Biffle's lead is 2 seconds over Paul Menard. Menard doing a great job of hanging on. He's a 1.5 seconds ahead of 3rd place, Matt Kenseth. David Reagan, who was one of our lucky dog recipients earlier today, he is running in the 14th spot right now. And A.J. Allmendinger hasn't been up front, but Allmendinger's right behind Reagan by about 1.5 seconds.
Yeah, seeing some improvement here with the crew chief change that they made there with David Reagan's UPS Ford. The last couple of weeks have been more competitive for these guys and getting the car where obviously David feels a lot more comfortable. He had to make some adjustments today after they got that lap down, got that the free pass back, but making the most of that.
Let's check back in on the battle between Matt Kenseth and Kevin Harvick. The battle is for 3rd on the racetrack, and you can see Harvick about 2.5 car lengths behind.
Yeah, we saw Harvick a while ago when he went up to Carl Edwards, tried to make that pass the first time. I think he really heated his tires up, got a little sideways, backed off, and made another run. Now he's charged by Edwards, got his sights set on Matt Kenseth right now, going to that 3rd spot.
Harvick's going to try the low line now, pulls up on the quarter panel, but then slides back up. 43 laps to go. Still plenty of time for anybody to lay claim to this race with Greg Biffle. Boy, did he want a big run. He's got it going right now at Kansas.
We come to the final stages of chase race number 3 at Kansas. Competition on pit road, you bet there's been some all race long. Greg Biffle's team with some strategy and some good stops earlier. Biffle launching into the lead after the last restart. And now his pit crew with one more chance. The money stop upcoming as we have 38 laps to go in today's race. And Biffle leads Paul Menard by 3 seconds. Kevin Harvick racing Matt Kenseth for third. Kenseth 17, Harvick 29. Let's talk about this final pit stop. They went back racing with 72 laps to go. 50 laps has been about the run we've seen under the green flag today. That would bring him in with 22 to go. Rusty, Brad, DJ, Andy, let's start down here. What are we going to see?
I think you're just going to see 4-tire pit stops, get all the grip you possibly can get out of these cars, and then these guys got to run every lap like it's a qualifying lap. I don't think doing 2 tires is going to get it done. I think it's just too slow.
We've seen some good runs right now on 2 tires, but I agree with Rusty 100%. You got to get 4 and go for it as hard as you can go. Try to gain that track position, get up front, step front.
Bet you're the crew chief of that 17 car, Andy. You want to do something to help it stop sliding around so much.
Yeah, a good thing for them to do right now would maybe pit a little bit early and take advantage of this and kind of gamble on it going green. If they can get in here and get back out, they can gain some time, but they're losing that window of opportunity because everybody's going to have to be on pit road here fairly soon. If you're going to take advantage of that, you need to get on pit road right now.
And we've talked about mistakes in the first 2 races of the chase. Been a very clean day where pit road speeding penalties are concerned, where drop lug nuts and that kind of thing are concerned. Now's not the time with the money stop at hand. You don't want to make that mistake here.
You're going to jinx them, Alan.
No, just giving us something to watch for, huh, Marty?
Absolutely, Alan. And the battle we're watching right now, both of them for 6th, Carl Edwards and Jimmy Johnson. And here comes Jeff Gordon. We were just commenting during the commercial break what's happened to Jeff. He sort of fell back here in the later stages of the race and hasn't been moving in either direction, sort of been mired there in 8th, and now he's taking a little peek towards the 39. What's going on, Jamie?
Well, Jeff Gordon has said this car is not the same car we started this race with. He said he feels like he's on ice skates out there. They made a couple of adjustments on the last round of stops, but he said as the run goes longer, the car is getting better. So this last stop is going to be crucial for him to keep that track position.
Last thing you want is to be in an all skate, unless we're playing hockey. And right now, Jeff Gordon is trying to tiptoe around the 39 of Ryan Newman. And Newman, again, has a great run going. We talked about it at the beginning of the broadcast. In the last 5 races, 8.2 his average finish. And here he is running 8th again. Patrick Carpentier will just let you know, the 26, he did make a stop here just a few laps ago. He is on fresh tires. That's why he's running so well. But he is 2 laps down in 30th position. And that battle on the right side of the screen continues now with Jimmy Johnson ahead of Carl Edwards for the 6th position.
It's been a nice comeback for Jimmy Johnson and his race team. They struggled a little bit earlier on. Tony Stewart's getting ready to hit pit road right here now.
So the first car of the contenders to make this stop is going to be the 14 of Tony Stewart. Doc?
The money stop for Tony Stewart could decide the winner today and impact a Sprint Cup championship. Final stop of the day for Tony. He said the car is tighter than it's been all day long in the center of the corner. They will make a chassis adjustment. They've already made air pressure changes inside the tires. Right side tires clean. 5 car in as well. See Tony Stewart down and away just under 14 seconds. Also Mark Martin leaving his pit.
Last year, Tony Stewart took 2 tires. It paid off with a big win. This year, he takes 4. And you were right, Andy. Once the first one comes, here they all come, Dave.
Ryan Newman had been running in the 8th position. He'll get a tear off. Can't see through the windshield very well. They're talking about 2 tires. Let's see if they stay with that. Nope, they're going to go for 4. They believe what you guys are saying. Jeff Burton on pit road as well. Burton has been running in the 17th position right now. Jamie, to you.
And Jimmy Johnson is in now. Car has been pretty good. He's been free. And the 24 of Jeff Gordon is in as well. The call for the 24 is 4 tires. Yes, and the same for the 48. 4-tire call here. We'll see if this will be the right one. He's down and away. And the 16 is on pit road as well.
That 16 is Greg Biffle. He led the most laps here last year and finished 3rd because of a late 4-tire call. They're not changing their philosophy. They're going with 4 again today. They believe they've got the car to win it. We're going to find out out here over the course of the final 25 laps or so. The 98 of Paul Menard having an outstanding run today as well. He's led for a while today, but says it's a little too free on entry and tight in the center and then loose off. They're going with 4 tires this time, along with an air pressure adjustment. Dave?
Carl Edwards had been running in the 6th position and was getting past. That car just kept getting looser, especially off the corner. That's the direction they're going to look at as they make a big wedge adjustment for Carl for this final run. They will change 4 tires, increase the air pressure as it's a shorter run than in the middle of the race.
So again, another series of green flag pit stops, and again, pretty much mistake-free. We saw nobody having any major issues. Edwards did pick up the lead momentarily. There is Greg Biffle as he comes across the stripe.
And Tony Stewart came out right behind Biffle, so he's going to be second after it cycles.
Biffle, who's finished in the top 3 in 5 of the last 6 Kansas races, with now 29 laps to go, is in first place. In second place, it is now Stewart. Kenseth is third, and Jimmy Johnson picked up 2 more spots, and he is now running 4th, guys. And that would be enough to boost him into the points lead if the race ends in this current fashion with this 28 to go.
Jimmy did a nice job getting into pit road and then off. I think his pit crew did a good job too, Andy.
They made a 12.8-second stop. Wasn't the fastest that round, but Jimmy Johnson doing a good job, like you said, somewhere outside those timing lines.
There you see the group. Let's take a look at the Fast 5 on the pit stops this time around.
See, Brad Keselowski took 2. Jeff Gordon had a great stop at 12.4. See at 12.8 by Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, all the top contending cars took 4 tires.
Yeah, and Allmendinger did a great job also. He's made a steady progress throughout the day too. He's got himself up near the top 10. Running in the 11th spot right now.
There is A.J. Allmendinger, and Allmendinger 11th on the track right now, 13 seconds behind the race leader. Speaking of leaders, 7 Chase contenders have led today. And there is our pole sitter, Casey Kane. Remember, Casey had contact with the wall. He ended up 32 laps down right now, running in 37th position. Right behind Casey is the 11 of Denny Hamlin, and so far, Denny Hamlin's day not gone the way he had projected. In Countdown, he had talked about wanting to be in the top 5 in this race. And right now, he's running in the 12th position. And there you see points as of right now and how fluid it is, but a lot of motion. And really, the number to keep in mind here is anybody under like around 109, which would be the top 10, they're all in contention. We're only 3 races in after today. In fact, put Kenseth in there as well at 122. Boyer's really the only one that's on very, very thin ice.
Yeah, we have some exciting racing coming up. Anything can happen at California and Charlotte. You know, the 2 wild card races that all of these drivers and teams look at are Martinsville and Talladega at the end of this month. So a lot of things can happen.
There's Tony Stewart. He has clinched the most laps led today. And all of a sudden, here comes Jimmy Johnson attacking Matt Kenseth for that 3rd position.
So Kenseth is still fighting his race car a little bit. He's able to stay in front of Jimmy Johnson, but really having to drive it hard, sliding it through.
For now, he's in front of Jimmy Johnson.
23 laps to go this time by. He's going to take a look down low.
I think he knows that's going to be difficult. That's his best way of holding Jimmy Johnson back, if he has any chance of doing that right here, is to stay on that higher side and hope that Jimmy's a little too free to make the pass. See if Jimmy can get back to the throttle enough here to complete the pass. Looks like he's got enough clearance.
He does, so give him the 3rd spot. And Greg Biffle is your race leader right now by 5.1 seconds over Tony Stewart. Let's go up to speed on our Chase contenders, Vince.
Well, the 16 of Greg Biffle's had a terrific day today, and it's just exactly what they needed. Crew Chief Greg Irwin told me this morning, we really need to deliver today, and everybody on this team knows it. And by deliver, he didn't mean top 10. They knew top 10 wasn't going to be good enough after finishing 17th at Loudon and 19th at Dover. They needed a win, a top 3 finish. Looks like they're going to get it today unless disaster strikes in the late stages. Doc?
Likewise, Vince, Tony Stewart needed a top 5 for a victory. He may get the win, definitely should get the top 5. The kind of run they were looking for today to get back in the chase.
Chad Knaus, the crew chief for Jimmy Johnson, told me this morning last week's win told everybody else we're not taking this championship lightly. And the performance of this team over the wall and by the driver is proving that right now, running third, the best it's been, Vince.
Kevin Harvick in the 29 has been really good on the long runs today. Unfortunately, this last stint isn't going to be a long run. Kevin hasn't been all that unhappy with his car today, but he hasn't been too pleased with his pit crew, feeling like they haven't gained him anything on pit lane. Dave?
You know, there was a phrase coined in our rehearsal today by Brad Doherty. It was today or nay for Matt Kenseth. It's been kind of in between. He'll have a top 10 run, but the car has just been loose for him at the end of the race here, and not as much yay as nay today, Jamie.
And Jeff Gordon's car not where he wants it to be right now, although they are better and they had a great stop. They expected to strike here. This is their opportunity. They said if they didn't finish top 3 today, they would be disappointed. Dave?
As for Bob Osborne, the crew chief on the 99, he told me this morning, we're not out of the chase by any means, but they did not run toward the front where they need to at the end of the race today. They'll have to work hard next week in California, Jamie.
Denny Hamlin came into this race not knowing what they had. They didn't have high expectations after the balance issues they had in practice. Been the same issue for this race. Last stop, they actually made a wedge adjustment and 4 tires and still had a 12-second plus pit stop. Things are looking up. They're maximizing. Doc?
We told you the top of the day, Kurt Busch had never had a top 5 here at Kansas. All he wanted today was a top 10 to be able to hang in the top 5 and to chase points. They were running near the top 10, and at that last pit stop, Kurt has lost now 3 positions, being shown back in 14th spot. Vince?
The 33 of Clint Boyer was hoping for a good run today. Of course, it's been a bit of a disaster in the chase. They won at Loudon and then were hit with that penalty. Didn't quite have their heads in it last week at Dover. Finished 25th. Clint on his home track with a lot of family and friends around this week. Hoped to deliver today, and it just hasn't worked. They've been running toward the end of the lead lap. He is 15th. Dave?
And Vince, the 31 of Jeff Burton. It was the last run that really hurt Jeff today. He had been running top 10 all day long, but on that last run, really, really loose. No rear grip for Jeff, and he fell from 9th to 17th before they came to pit road this last time. Doc?
Kyle Busch will not win this race today, but this may be the most impressive 22nd place finish he has ever had. A damaged car after lap 150, a bent rear housing, a bent trailing arm. They have come on and off pit road a total of 6 times to fix the car. Kyle says the car is, quote, wrecking loose, but we're hanging on. He is trying to hang on to 22nd and minimize the damage in terms of the point standings. Marty?
And it is oh so important because Dave Rogers pointed out if they take it behind the wall, they'd have gone multiple laps down. And right now, Kyle Busch would be 7th in the chase, just 78 points behind. Carl Edwards, Matt Kenseth, the 2 Roush Fenway teammates going after each other, give Edwards the 6th spot.
Yeah, Matt Kenseth's slowly losing spots here. He's been past about 4 cars since they made this round of pit stops.
Let's reset it for you right now. It's Biffle, Stewart, and Johnson, your top 3. And then it's Harvick, Jeff Gordon, Carl Edwards, and Matt Kenseth through the top 7. Biffle's lead right now, 5.2 seconds over Tony Stewart. And we are down to 14 laps next time by. This was the kind of run Tony Stewart had needed. I told you he clinched for most laps led.
You know, Paul Menard's strategy back there on that last caution to take 2 tires has really put him in a good position. It's gone green since then. It's going to parlay it into a top 10 finish. Looks like he's running 8th right now. And he's got a couple of seconds on Ryan Newman, who's the next spot behind him. So got to give that team a lot of credit for knowing that 2 tires were going to work like that.
Andy was 16th before taking those 2 tires on lap 188. And as you pointed out, he's moved up to 8th. So a good rebound and a good decision tactically for Paul Menard and the team. Let's check back in on the race leader because Greg Biffle has got traffic in front of him in the Brad Keselowski, number 12. Keselowski, the last car on the lead lap right now, in 22nd position. If he goes a lap down, he would get himself into the lucky dog, which is right now held by Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 23rd. Next target for the race leader is the 18 right there of Kyle Busch. But right now, Kyle just trying to stay in that 22nd spot or 21st spot and limit the damage from today. And they're doing as best a job as they possibly could.
Yeah, Kyle wanted to come in and change the rear end housing, trailing arms and all that. But it's a good decision to leave him out there. Got a race for second.
Jimmy Johnson saying, who cares if I start at 21st? I want to win this race. And he is looking at the 14's rear quarter panel. And he is closing.
Yeah, I think he'll be able to get by. He's been closing on Tony at a pretty rapid rate here. Just be a matter of how much time he has to spend on the inside here trying to make this pass. He can't spend too much because you got Kevin Harvick and Jeff Gordon not too far behind him.
As good as Jimmy Johnson's car is right now, a caution flag would put him right back in it to win this thing.
That's the last thing Greg Biffle wants to see. He's got a 5.6 second lead over these two guys. And as long as they keep battling side by side, it just allows him to keep cruising out in front. Speaking of Biffle, there he goes on the left side, putting Kyle Busch one lap down. Kyle running 21st.
You can see Jimmy still trying to get around Tony Stewart on the right side, but Kevin Harvick will come into the picture here in just a second. He's going to be a part of this battle.
There is Harvick in the 29. So you see second, third, and fourth right there in your screen. Now with 10 laps to go.
Jimmy Johnson's always been a good closer, but this is what the 29 car, Kevin Harvick, has done all year long. He just peaks at the right time. That's at the end of the race, and here he is battling up here for a top 5 spot.
It looked like Jimmy might have a good enough run, but Stewart's fighting back on the outside. I don't think Jimmy's going to be able to clear him quite yet.
Down that backstretch, and boy, what acceleration by the 14. Now into the corner. Hugging that white line, the 48. Harvick looking at all this, saying, guys, if you give me an opening, I'm going to get both of you.
Yeah, Jimmy's able to clear Tony Stewart now and move that 48 car up into the second spot.
But in the meantime, Biffle's extended his lead to 6.8 seconds with now 9 laps to go. Whoa,
you can hear Harvick get out of the throttle to keep from running into Tony Stewart right there.
That's Regan Smith, lap traffic in front. Regan 1 lap down in the 26th spot. He moves high, lets everybody go. Also David Rudiman in the 00, 35th, 11 laps down after all the action he's had today. And Jeff Gordon getting into the mix a little bit further back as well. There he comes. And Tony's coming back on the 48.
Yeah, and you can see Carl Edwards gaining on Jeff Gordon.
It's going to be a 5-way battle for second.
7 laps to go next time by. These guys are, whoa, getting so loose as the 14. Harvick, he moves around. Now here comes Gordon on Tony.
Comes Carl Edwards. He's sliding his car. He's going to go to the inside of Gordon off of 4.
Edwards on the move. He takes the spot all the way down onto the apron. Jeff follows him and is going to be able to clear. Yes. So Edwards now 5th. It's Biffle, Johnson, Harvick, Stewart, Edwards, and Gordon. And Gordon's not finished yet. He's going to try the high side.
We can see really jump in the throttle there. Jeff Gordon trying to take that spot away.
Biffle's missing a heck of a good race behind him. He's 7 seconds in front of everybody. Side by side. This time, here comes Carl. He's going to try the same thing. It worked for him before.
He's just trying to get away where Jeff can't sidetrack him, slow his car down some. Just put in a little bit of split.
Notice Jeff didn't follow him this time, and it seemed to help his momentum. Down the backstretch. What it's also allowed is Tony Stewart has opened up some ground in front of both of these guys. There you can see the margin up to Tony.
Whoa, Carl's loose.
Oh, so close. He has to get out of it. Gordon takes the spot. He's now in 5th. One of the guys that a lot of people thought would win this race today after he started 3rd, but Jeff right now running in the 5th spot.
Both of those cars are very close in points. Just a few points separates that 99 and the 24.
Next time by, it'll be 4 laps to go. You wanted a close chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup? Well, the results today are going to give us just that after 3 races. The lead is 7.7 seconds, but boy, behind Biffle, a lot of slicing and dicing. There is Jimmy Johnson. He is running in second place. Behind him by almost a second, or less than a second now, actually, I should say, is Kevin Harvick. There you see Kevin on the high side. Then Tony Stewart in fourth. Jeff Gordon in fifth, with Carl Edwards close behind.
I think what it shows us is just how many drivers and teams we have capable of winning these races. You know, Greg Biffle didn't look like in these first two that he was going to be somebody that we'd talk about being able to win. Came out here today in the last part of this race, they've just dominated.
You know what was interesting about Greg Biffle? He was worst among Chase drivers, 17th overall in the last 10 races. And they pointed for this race. They wanted, they thought last week was going to be good to them. It didn't turn out the way they wanted. But right now, he is going to thrust himself right back into contention, as are many of the other Chase contenders. The 48 included, Jimmy Johnson, he could end up coming out of here with the points lead.
And he's got a lot of traffic right in front of him. You see Kevin Harvick trying to chase him down, but
well, if Jimmy does get the points lead, 4 out of the 6 years coming out of Kansas, the leader in the chase has gone on to win it. Down the backstretch, next time by, it'll be the white flag lap for Greg Biffle. Here it comes.
White flag right here, buddy. One more time. Hit your mark.
It is Ford, followed by 4 Chevrolets, then 3 more Fords, and 2 more Chevrolets in the top 10. They have dominated between those 2 marks. For Biffle, he is looking for his 16th Cup win in his 287th start. He is one of those guys that has won at Kansas before. And it looks like he's going to do it again as he comes out of turn number 4. The winner of chase race number 3, Greg Biffle, his 7th chase win. Second place looks like it's going to be Jimmy Johnson, but here's the best battle as Gordon and Edwards going for the stripe. Who's going to get the spot? It'll be Jeff Gordon taking home 5th place. Now the battle for 10th. Allmendinger again having a great run.
Yeah, he made a great pass there coming out of turn 4 on Jamie McMurray to get that 10th spot.
Denny Hamlin you see in 12th, Kurt Busch in 13th. Mark Martin, Clint Boyer comes back for 15th, although that's not going to be enough to really
help. There, guys. That's perfectly executed. Awesome. By the 3M16 team. Awesome, guys. Red.
Exactly what the 16 team needed. Vince?
With crew chief Greg Irwin, and Greg, you told me this morning you needed something big, and top 3 might not be big enough. You needed to win. How good does it feel to have delivered on that?
It's exactly what we needed. We know our backs are against the wall right here. We had less than acceptable finishes here the first 2 races of the chase, and this is what we need. Hopefully it'll get us just a little bit, and that momentum that we talked about I know is going to be big. You know what? I got to thank all the guys at Roush Fenway. Another brand new race car, probably the best race car we've ever brought to the racetrack. I want to keep them coming. So everybody back at Fab Shop, Engine Shop, across the board, thank you.
Real quickly, right after the finish, Jack Roush said something to you. What was it?
We've just had a lot of conversations lately about how difficult this is to do and put your family through. So he wanted me to make sure I thank my family.
Well done. Marty?
Thanks to all the families. They'd spent a lot of time on the road. Record for fewest cautions, just 5 today. We had 12 different leaders with 20 lead changes. The one that counted was the one that put Greg Biffle in victory lane. Welcome back to the Price Chopper 400 here at Kansas. Make sure to go to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. And here at Kansas Speedway, the massive crowd saw a very interesting and entertaining race today. And take a look at the points. This is the closest the top 10 have ever been after chase race number 3. And really, I think everybody in the top 11 is still in this hunt.
Oh, yeah, but Denny Hamlin having an off day, it certainly brought a lot of people back into the mix.
This was the exchange. Coach Joe Gibbs was trying to calm his driver down as Kyle walked straight to the hauler. And I think when he realizes the damage that they were able to limit, he'll come away feeling a lot better, but obviously upset about what happened with David Rudiman. Nobody upset with that 16 camp. Look at the smile on Greg Biffle's face.
What a huge victory for this team today that came into this race 140 points behind the leader, and you dug deep into that today. You gained 55 points on the leader and a big swing of momentum. How big is this win for the 16 team?
Man, it's a big win for us. It's a big win for 3M. Sherwin-Williams on the car. You know, Ford has been trying to help us so much to get these cars running again, and I just got to thank Sprint and all the fans, you know, and it was a great day for us. The car ran flawless. Irwin just made great calls in the pits, and the car just kept getting better and better and better. And I was too loose for about the first 3 quarters of the race. I didn't want to adjust on it because I was running the top 3. Finally, I tightened it up, and off it went, man. It was just, that's all it needed was, you know, a little bit of wedge in it to take off.
You guys have a lot of confidence in your mile-and-a-half program, and with the mile-and-a-half tracks being heavy in the chase, what kind of confidence does this give you from this point forward?
Well, it gives us a lot of confidence. You know, we're just, you know, we're kind of down in the dumps about Dover. You know, it's one of our best racetracks, and we got trapped. You know, we had a top 10 car there, and but we can't go back and do it over again. We're just going to keep doing the best we can. That's what everybody asked us if we're out of it, and I said, we're going to do the best we can. If we win them all, we win them all.
They won them today. Greg Biffle wins at Kansas. Let's go to Jamie Little.
Well, last weekend, Jimmy Johnson was victorious, sent a message. How does points leader sound, Jimmy? You're it.
That sounds awesome. You know, to come through the poor qualifying effort and fight for track position all day long, get second at the end was really cool. We had some strategy work against us and started way back again and drove right on up through for a second time and got to the front. So I'm glad we had the finish we did. Still a lot of racing left, but we're doing the right things. We're making bad weekends good weekends. You know, even at Dover, although we dominated and won, we didn't have what we wanted leaving practice. We didn't have what we wanted yesterday leaving practice. We're probably until the halfway point of the race today, but we kept working on the car and made it better. So I can't thank Chad and all these guys on this Lowe's car enough for their hard work. Everybody at Hendrick Motorsports for giving us you know, the tools to go to the racetrack, and we'll go to the next one.
It was truly a team effort today. I said the way that you drove, the way that your team just adjusted on this race car, and your teammate, Jeff Gordon, you actually had his setup. How much did that affect you guys today?
Yeah, you know, his car, he's been really good getting through traffic on these mile-and-a-half tracks, and that it's been one of our weak spots. Although I didn't really love the feeling of the car, it was kind of on top of the track, it was stable in traffic, and with where I was starting, that's what we needed to focus on, and I'm glad we had that set up on the car today, so I got to thank Steve Letarte and those guys for some help.
Well, bad news for competition. He's the points leader heading into his house in California. Doc?
Kevin Harvick finished third, and Kevin, so much for qualifying. You started 24th, but this car was a rocket from the drop of the green flag. Where'd that come from?
Well, the car was good all weekend. Got to thank all my guys on the Shell Pennzoil Chevrolet. They did a great job. You know, track position is just pretty important, and it just took a little longer than we needed to get back through the traffic again after our pit stop. So it was just a good day. Car was fast all weekend and a solid top 3 run, and feel good about next week too.
You guys came up a minute ago and we're talking, you said top fives, that's how you win a championship. Feeling pretty good about what's going to happen here headed to Homestead.
Yeah, I mean, we feel good about where we're at. I mean, that's what got us here was those solid top 5 finishes and the things that we did during the year. So we just got to keep doing those things and keep our cars in contention to run up front and lead some laps and get those points, and we'll see where we're at when we get to Homestead.
A very confident Kevin Harvick, and as well he should be. Jamie.
And Jeff Gordon brings it home 5th today. Well, it was an eventful day, Jeff, but what happened to your car there 3/4 of the way, and it seemed like it was a different race car almost?
Yeah, you know, we started the race good, but we were real loose out front, and when some of the faster cars got up there, you know, we could see where we were off, and we fell back, lost some track position, but got to give Steve and the DuPont Chevrolet team a lot of credit. Great pit stop there at the end to make up a bunch of spots under green, and some good adjustments to make the car a lot better. We finally got it tightened up enough, and we could race with those guys and pulled off a top 5.
Some great racetracks coming up for you and your entire team going to California next week. What are your impressions right now of the chase and where you guys sit as a team?
Well, I'm happy we gained. You know, we gained points overall and points positions, and that's good. I felt like we kind of missed an opportunity here this weekend. I felt like we were one of the best cars, and you know, felt like we should have led more laps and had a battle for the win. So we still got some work to do, and you know, we're going to try to make that happen with the tracks coming up. They are good tracks for us, but they're good tracks for our competitors too. And you know, it was a good day today. I just felt like we could have been better, and we're going to have to do that in the races coming up.
Well, California is certainly a racetrack they have circled on the map. Let's go over to Doc.
Tony Stewart, looks like this was just what the doctor ordered, a top 5 finish, and you led the most laps today.
Yeah, I'd like to stay up there at least with Greg where we were at most of the day, but really proud of our guys. And, you know, it's hard to rebound after 2 weeks like we've had starting to chase, but you know, shows how strong the Stewart-Haas team is, and everybody at Office Depot and Old Spice and Darian Grubb and, you know, the Hendrick chassis and engine department and everybody back at our shop just has rallied around and you know, kept their you know, the team's morale up right now, and everybody's working hard. So today's a result of that.
The guys said you have done a great job lifting all of them up and making them believe that you're not out of it. With this run today, can you still win this chase?
Yeah, we're not out till you guys say we're mathematically out. I mean, who would have dreamed we would have had 2 weeks in a row like we had the first 2 weeks? So, you know, it's proof it can happen. Talladega is still on the schedule, so, you know, that can jumble everything up too. So we just got to go out and do what we did today, and that's just go out and try to win the race and take what it gives us.
Hey, good run today, Smoke.
Thanks, man.
Tony Stewart, another top 5 finish. Let's check in on Jeff Burton. Dave.
With Jeff Burton now. Jeff, it seemed it was like that second to last run that really put you out of the top 10 and hurt your day.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. We, you know, the run before that, the last 10 laps of the run, we were the fastest car on the racetrack. And they didn't put on tires, and we went terrible. I mean, we went to the slowest car on the racetrack. So I don't know. It's really frustrating. I don't know if we had a you know, bump stop failed or something, but we you know, went from having a really good race car, being able to, I thought, contend for the win, to being where it couldn't, you know, wouldn't have stayed on the lead lap, would have gone another run.
Like a light switch, guys.
David, thank you. On NASCAR Countdown, we had a whole laundry list of themes we talked about starting the day. Jeff Burton was one. Watch out for him. Didn't have the best of days today. You heard from him, 18th place. Kyle Busch said this was one of his worst tracks, trying to get through Kansas like Denny Hamlin was trying to get through Dover a weekend ago. Well, he didn't get through it so well. He could have come out in a lot worse shape. He only lost 35 points to the lead from where he was. But certainly that wasn't the way he wanted his day to unfold.
Well, Alan, you know, I mean, he said he's not really good here, but I thought he really ran well until this crash. He got in the back of David Rudeman, obviously made Rudeman really mad, and Rudeman pays him back and puts him in the wall. But, I mean, overall, it was a great run early for Kyle Busch. So I really don't agree that he doesn't run good here. He ran good until this incident.
This could really be the foundation for a championship run for Kyle Busch. I know that sounds crazy, but they got the most out of what they had after the accident. They got a good finish, a good solid day. 21st could have been much worse, but it wasn't. Could be the foundation for a championship.
People who have been in these things and won them will tell you that the key to these championships are getting all you can on the good days and minimizing the damage on your bad days. Kyle working extensively with his crew and his crew chief. In the middle of the race, they kept that car on the lead lap right till the very last run of the race. He wound up, again, losing 35 points to the lead. Yeah, that's a lot in a close championship. Then again, it's not a whole lot with, as a couple of guys have already said, Talladega still hanging out there in the wings somewhere. Speaking of upcoming races, here's what's left on the chase schedule, on the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series schedule for 2010. Next week, it's on to Southern California, then Charlotte, Martinsville, Talladega, Texas, Phoenix, and Homestead. Want to join us at the track? Go to NASCAR.com/tickets or dial up the old toll-free number. We've had some good racing in the chase so far, and we will expect to have some good racing as we continue on down the line. Let's wrap up some other pre-race stories. Denny Hamlin said he expected he could finish around 5th here.
Well, I tell you, he didn't quite reach his goal, so he's going to have to readjust that theory of his as we go to California and try to get a better finish or get a win.
Wound up in the 12th position today. Jimmy Johnson, we said he was on it. Watch out. He was on it.
Well, he was on it. I mean, today he was all the way back to the 28th position at one time, and he clawed his way all the way back up to 2nd place. Now he's our points leader by 8 points over Denny Hamlin. This guy just keeps trucking forward, not making any mistakes. But you know what? I didn't see anybody make mistakes. Just some cars didn't run as good as others.
There you go. You touched on the next theme. Didn't really see anybody get busted for pit road speeding. Didn't see any major pit stop errors. Anything like that. Very
nothing
clean
like that. 2 tires versus 4 tires, pit strategy, all that stuff kind of went out the window at the end of the day. So it was a good, clean race for everyone. We just saw a great performance by Greg Biffle, though. He got up on the wheel and was gone.
Don't forget our continuing coverage post-race from here in Kansas comes up on SportsCenter in just a few minutes. Ryan Burr, Ricky Craven on the way with more of our post-race action. We've seen the Kyle Busch, David Rudeman incidents a couple times. Let's hear from David, Vince.
Well, let's get Dave's interpretation of what happened, the contact with the 18, and then you come back and made contact with him. Maybe your interpretation of what happened there.
No, we just got run over really, really early in the race and ruined our day. Back to thing in the fence and tore it all up. And my guys work really, really hard on this stuff. All these guys do out here all the teams. So it just didn't work out for us today. Had a good Airstream machine, had a car that was capable of running in the top 10, and just get wrecked that early in the race for really, really no reason. Just it gets a little old. So just didn't work out.
David Rudiman standing his ground today. Dave?
Well, Vince, with Kyle Busch right now. And Kyle, talk about today. You talked about having NASCAR take some action after the incident with the 00. What would you like to see them do specifically?
Nothing. I thought about it more. Whatever. It's just really unfortunate. These guys worked their butts off, and to put ourselves in the chase and to have the opportunity to try to go after a championship and to have it end up, something like that today. The guy was loose, said it on the radio. He slid up off the bottom, and I got into him unintentionally and just spun him out. My fault, 100%. But then the retaliation. I mean, to a guy that's in the chase, that's racing for something, and he'll be here next year. He could have wrecked me in any of the first 26 races next year. That would have been fine. But it's just hard to swallow something like a day like today where we had a solid top 5 car going. I mean, Dave did a phenomenal job getting us this M&M's Camry to where we could run up front and run those guys down and chase them down, and we had a really good car going. And just when we got hit there, it just bent everything under the rear end, and we salvaged the best we could, but still far off of where we could have been.
He talked about it, salvaging the best they could, guys. A 21st place finish today.
So Kyle Busch on to California with the rest of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series teams, including today's winner, Greg Biffle. Next Saturday, 4 Eastern, the NASCAR Nationwide race on ESPN2. And next Sunday's Pepsi Max 400, including Countdown, on ESPN next week at 3 Eastern time. More post-race coverage on SportsCenter. Next, Ryan Burr and Ricky Craven. Greg Biffle, your winner today in California. We're coming back to the track in a few.